Hello everyone and welcome to another Sovereign Citizen Watch. How's everyone doing? Hoping you're having a good middle of your week. Hope your Wednesday is going excellent. We have a bunch of new videos to look at today from our weird friends over in Sovereign Citizen Land. A couple traffic stops. Most of them are people sitting around and talking, though, about really weird frauds and lies. We have a little bit of Cataspinda. We have Marcel at one of his meetings with his marks. Yeah, should be good. How's everyone doing? Hope you're doing well. The internet bill was paid, so that's good. Thank you everyone for helping out with that. Much appreciated. Let's see what's going on in chat. Hello, Mr. Blast, Lady Ann, Phoenix Leftist, Diego, Spokane Dogman, Freyline, German Cow JJ. How is everyone doing? Nemesaur, what's up? Over on YouTube, Nathan, Pens and Music, how's it going? Will Florida, how's it going? And Royal Ann again, how's it going? So yeah, today we're going over a whole bunch of stuff. If you want, we're working towards our next costume month. We're almost halfway there. Like I've said before, I am going to give you guys a free week of costume month after I get my Spock outfit when I get paid on Monday. Because I've been pretty broke. Pretty much just been paying bills and stuff, and I've been zeroed out other than that. So, sorry about not being able to get the Spock costume yet. So you'll get a free costume week once I am able to get that, like Monday. And that's all good. Welcome, welcome. Hey Amber, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good. And hey Halloween Town, what's up? Be good. They'll be as good as they're allowed. Have a good shower, Halloween Town. Alright, let's go ahead and start off with this. This is a woman named To Share is the name of her channel, and this is about nature's law and action.
Hi guys, I've got some really interesting news for you. Anybody that loves our country or knows that there's a lot of bad things going on right now, and I'm talking about both sides of the fence, and this is nonpartisan.
Oh good, it's nonpartisan conspiracy theories, my favorite kind.
Doesn't matter what religion. If you're LGBTQ, you're going to want to hear this. Christian, Muslim,
especially so, or
whatever, because there are two words that I'm learning that most of us don't understand about how our country was created. It's called nature's law. It's not natural's law. We'll get into that. And as I've asked people, all kinds of elected officials, sheriffs, all kinds of people that should know these things, and we don't. And it's by careful design, but in order for us to really declare what our rights are, which is what I'm going to help you to understand, you got to understand it. So there's a couple ground rules I want to follow here really fast. I'm going to string this out through a couple different videos. Some of you will...
If she put any more bloom on this photo, it would be... Nope, don't have an end for that joke.
Watch it, some of you will...
I don't know flower things. Someone finish that joke. If there was any more bloom on this frame... Mad Lib.
Won't.
If Michelin star restaurants can deconstruct dishes and be considered good, I can deconstruct jokes, and then you, the audience, do the punchline.
But I'm going to make a challenge to you to watch the whole thing. Some of you are going to kind of jump out the window when I use words like the Constitution, the C word. But it's because we don't understand it. As I'm asking a lot of people and talking to them, we really don't understand the intentions behind it or how it protects us. So I'm going to ask you to watch these videos until the end, and I might see some of the same things in both videos just because one might get shut down and that type of thing. The second thing that I would like for you to do is to share this information. Now, if you make your own content, I have no desire to go viral. That's not what my goal is here. It's just to help.
That's good. This video has 5 views, so probably not viral.
Educate people. I will do a lot better job helping.
Nearest Crow Hill, that probably wins.
Educate people if you all help to educate people. So I'll put some bullet points on the end of these videos so that you can actually train other people. And
no, Nathan Arndt in YouTube wins. If there were any more bloom on that photo, it could start a flower shop. It's broad enough to work, but the wording is it's succinct, but it's not. Yeah, that one wins. Okay.
To the people, because there is some resolve here that I'm going to talk to you about. If you don't make your own content, then go ahead and share it. But you guys, at some point, I may go away. That's just kind of how it happens. If somebody's speaking a lot of truth, then somebody else doesn't like it or they don't agree with it. So please share this. So the fourth thing is, I'm going to use a little bit different terminology for obvious reasons. So I really like fantasy. And so I'm going to go back to Star Wars. So when I refer to the Emperor, in Star Wars, the Emperor was really the one pulling the strings. And I think a lot of us know that our forward politicians are not always doing all the string pulling. There's a lot of things, we know, corporations and people
I'm really wondering if we're teetering towards thinly veiled anti-Semitism in this one.
involved, and sometimes it's nefarious, sometimes it's for money. Those are the emperors. Those are the ones that are, or the, what do they call them? The Sith Masters in Star Wars, or the emperors. They're the ones that are kind of in the background. The Darth Vaders are the ones that are politicians that are, I call them the intentional. They know exactly what's going on. They're getting bribed, they're getting paid, they're doing dishonest things, and they're breaking our Constitution. They don't care. The stormtroopers are more of the kind of useful idiots. I don't know how else to say that kindly, but they're the people that just push agendas and certain things because their party supports it.
I feel like the metaphor here is clouding up what she really wants to say. I think she should just say it. Beatrice with 100 bits says, when they talk about the Constitution like that, I'm reminded that TOS Trek episode of the American and Soviet cultures on that one planet. You know, the one? Yeah, E Plebnista, and then Kirk reads the Constitution. That's a great scene. That's one of my favorite Star Trek scenes of all time.
They don't really understand why. Sometimes these people do a lot of damage because they don't really get the whole background of it. So we have
Hey, Corax, and thanks, Polly, as his cracker.
to kind of be more, outside thinkers. But then the Luke Skywalkers, they're the ones that are, they sign up to be politicians or police officers or sheriffs, or they go through this whole process because they want to help their fellow men. So those really are the ones that I'm more focused on when we go through this. Okay, so back to how this benefits everybody. I'm going to talk to you about nature's law. This is how our Constitution was actually founded and set up. Now, I watch like the LGBTQ community or those that are pro-life, and you guys are constantly fighting for your rights. What if I told you that you shouldn't have to fight for your rights, that they're already given to you? I'm going to explain that to you and how that helps.
The rights thing annoys me when they go over this and talking about, like, if you understand that your rights interact at minimum with the government, they act like you are giving away something, like the government doesn't give you rights. Rights are social constructs. I've talked about this before. If you want to rhetorically say your rights come from God to give them some sort of, like, grandiose grounding, that's fine. I don't care. I don't think it's true. But you need to understand, at least realistically, that yes, your rights are granted by the government insofar as the government is the one that, like, enforces laws and enforces what you are and are not allowed to do. And whether or not you believe in the concept of some sort of extrinsic rights, certainly you must recognize that throughout history, regardless of what you believe people's intrinsic rights to be, people have had them stripped from them by the state, right? It's always weird to me when they act as though just pretending that the state has no interest in enforcing or protecting rights. By acknowledging it, you're somehow manifesting it. It's wild to me. I don't get it.
Helps you, how that benefits you. You don't ask for your rights. We need to learn how to declare them.
And no, I haven't played the new Zelda yet. I don't plan on getting it anytime soon. I'm more of a fan of the 3D Zeldas, and I know it's like a top-down, like, pseudo 3D thing, just, I don't know. I'm more a fan of, like, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild. I might play it at some point, but not unless it, like, went on sale.
And I'm going to teach you how. Some people on the right are always saying that their morals or their rights are being violated, and some of them are. And, I hats off to all those people that go to school board meetings and county planning meetings, and I've been to several of them. I've spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, and I think it's good, and I think we have a constitutional right and we should have our voices heard. But how many times have you gone to those things and you feel like they didn't hear a word we said, they went ahead and did it anyway? What if you had a way to basically, I don't like to say the word demand, but basically enforce your rights?
Does she understand that her individual wants do not constitute the entire want of the body politic? Like, it doesn't, just because you feel strongly about something, doesn't mean that the council has to listen to you specifically as opposed to the rest of the people in the area that you live. It seems like you think everyone is behind you when you are an individual expressing a want. That doesn't mean you are the majority. Julia, thank you for subscribing with Prime.
Some people I listen to, the left, are constantly, they're focused on the voting people in and out. I guess both sides do that. I've heard other people say we have a Second Amendment right, and at some point we're going to have to take these rights by force.
Well, there's that. We're not playing bingo, but hello FBI, is that a threat? I don't even need to ask the question. That's a threat. That's just saying she thinks we should kill politicians we don't like, which, hey, you shouldn't do. Don't do that. Don't commit acts of terrorism. Don't do assassinations. Cool beans.
And I'm not saying that won't happen, but in order to do that, there are certain things that we are required to do as governing the government before we actually can do that. This actually helps us to give those politicians...
The amount of people that think the Second Amendment expressly says in the Constitution you can have guns so you can kill the government when you think they're tyrants is wild to me.
A chance to be educated and to
learn.
I
don't think they know the text of the Second Amendment. I think they just think it says, Second Amendment, you should have every gun you want with no regulations so you can shoot politicians in the face when you get mad at them.
And a chance for them to read,
which isn't the text. Fun fact.
Address their wrongs. And I'll be honest with you guys, this has been going on for a long time. Our generation, our parents, our grandparents, we haven't done a real great job enforcing the laws because we don't understand.
I really applaud the use of emoji in this video, by the way. Truly good stuff on her part. She's really nailing the Facebook video aesthetic. Senekagami says, Americans are so spoiled. Anywhere else in history, if a religious person believed that a god gave them a magic wand that required no input, or rather, a magic ward that required no input from humans to protect them from other people, they just died out. Seriously, many religious institutions had some sort of fighting force specifically because they knew they needed more than a god to protect them.
Let's just start there. You hear often democracy. We've got to save our democracy.
Are we going to do it? Is she going to say it? Is she going to say it? Chat, say it with me. We're a constitutional republic. Yes, ma'am. A republic is a kind of democracy. You're right. It is a democracy and a republic.
Our democracy. What if I told you we don't have a democracy, and some of you know this, we have a constitutional republic.
Whoever started saying that to these people, I hate you. I hate you, whoever started saying that to these people as if it means anything. It's just a way to convey in shorthand your disdain for, like, democracy in general, for the right to vote. And it's so annoying that we have to hear it all the time now from idiots that don't even know what a republic is.
What's the difference? Well, they both vote in their elected officials, but a democracy gives the government the power. Do you know that?
What are you talking about?
Constitutional republic keeps the power still with the people. So
no, it doesn't! What are you talking about?
So, you know, whether you believe it's nefarious or it was just kind of bypassed for some reason in our education process, we're not taught that anymore. I think it was intentional, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. But I'm going to go back to the Hebrew scholar.
Oh, I'm worried about where this is going to go.
So a lot of the information that we're getting are from people much smarter than me, okay? Constitutionalists, historians, Hebrew scholars are important for this reason, okay? Now, again, don't jump out the window. Some of you that won't agree with me, listen to what I have to say and how the Bible actually protects your LGBTQ beliefs or, you know, your preferences, okay?
Oh, God, okay, what?
So, in the Bible, they had what that was called common law in the reign of the judges, okay? Our forefathers understood this, and I'll tell you why we know that. Okay?
I'm sorry, she thinks that common law comes from the Bible? It does not.
In common law, the judges were not like kings. They didn't call the shots. They didn't run the people. In fact, it was the opposite. It was so that people could actually govern themselves. So how it worked was through the laws of nature, okay? The laws of motion, the laws of science, the laws of physics, the law of attraction. All of these laws that...
You listed the law of attraction in there. Does she mean magnetism, or does she mean, like, The Secret? If you want things and ask the universe, it'll bring them to you. Kagami says, I love when people act like it's scary to want the Electoral College gone. It's a tacit admission that they don't think that democracy is good and that they think they shouldn't have to convince people of their ideas. Yeah, it's really frustrating.
They're already here. They govern our world. So let me give you an example. If you were to walk off a building, gravity is going to pull you to the ground. That's a law of gravity that's just there. It's unexplainable, whether you believe in evolution. However,
evolution has nothing to do with gravity. Also, there's mathematical expressions of gravity describing it, and I have no qualifications to talk about this, but my understanding is the current belief about how gravity works is that it's a warp in, like, three-dimensional space-time, basically. Again, I wouldn't know how to express that to you mathematically, but that's my bullshit Science Channel explanation. So to act as though we have no understanding of gravity is a little dishonest and bordering on flat-earthery. Hydrate, can do.
However this world was created, Christians believe in the loving God. It doesn't matter how it's created. They recognize that God is nature and nature's God. Now, how am I...
That doesn't mean anything.
Pulling this into the forefathers? Because they state it in the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. There's other ways that we know, but that's one of your first keys to go look up. Nature is what governs us. That's our laws. So if you have the physical capability of doing whatever you want, you have those rights so long as you don't infringe on others' rights.
But what do you, what do you mean rights? Where do you think the rights are coming from? Like, if you're talking about the laws of physics being the only thing, all of a sudden you have to explain this abstracted idea of rights. And don't get me wrong, I philosophically and ethically understand the concept of rights. But she's acting as though it is, like, automatic, and it's not something that we had to, like, construct as beings. It's like she thinks that exists externally, separate from us. Like, the universe does not contain the essence of, like, morality or justice. They're constructions. They're wonderful, important constructions that we have made and hopefully try to sustain. But you can't just gesture to them as if they're intuitive and everyone automatically knows them and thinks it's the same thing. Hats off. What do you want me to wear for the hats off, breeches and hose? And Carbcosian, thanks for a 5-stream streak. Says moo?
That is the law of nature. Okay? You already have those rights. Men are not supposed to govern those rights. So back in the reign of the judges...
Okay, but then how do you protect those rights if someone decides to infringe upon that of another? Like, how do you expect that to work? Dealer's choice. Okay. I will do... my bitch hat. There it is. Haven't worn this in... Spooky Halloween. Oh, Black's Law Dictionary request. What would you like me to look up? Rights? Can do.
Judges literally were there for people to bring their grievances in and say, hey, my neighbor grew a garden on my side of the fence, and then they were there to kind of dispute it out.
Okay, I don't care even if that's true or not. Like, the purpose of courts hundreds of years ago doesn't mean that has to be the purpose of courts today in their entirety. Institutions change over time. That's typical. If you think that there's a specific problem with that system, the existence of it in and of itself being a newer thing in the way that it functions is not a criticism in and of itself. You need to criticize the specifics of what you think is wrong with the institution. Freyline says, I'm gonna say it, a lot of the founders thought natural law meant black people were naturally inferior. Yep, and then how do you get into discussions of that, right? She thinks that these kind of things are self-evident, and that's basically just a tacit admission that you think whatever the common sense morality of the day is should always be the ruling principle, when in reality, historically, that has led to incredible atrocities. Let's see. What did you ask for in rights? Okay, I'll look for that while she's talking.
Now, of course, if somebody killed somebody, they're not going to admit it. They don't want to take the consequence. So then the judges were responsible for gathering all the facts and information. They bring it through a quorum of their peers, you know, similar to what we have, where you've got your jury. Interestingly enough, those were women generally. I know we always get a bad rap on women, you know, that they didn't have any power, but in the reign of the judges, they were actually the equity. The men were the law, or the... Is
there any truth to that whatsoever? I genuinely don't know. Right, as a noun and taken in the abstract sense, means justice, ethical correctness, or consonance with the rule of law or the principle of morals. In that signification, it answers to one meaning of the law, jus, and serves to indicate law in the abstract, considered as the foundation of all rights, or the complex of underlying moral principles which impart the character of justice to all positive law, or to give it an ethical content. As a noun, and taken in a concrete sense, a power, privilege, faculty, or demand, inherent in one person and incident upon another. Rights are defined just such, being grounded in personality and existing antecedently to their recognition by positive law, but leaving the abstract moral sphere and given to the terms of juristic content. A right is well defined as a capacity residing in one man of controlling, with the assent and assistance of the state, the action of others. Woo! That was actually a good one.
Head. They kept the order, and the women were the equity. They had the compassion to make those calls if somebody was not going to admit to those breach of rights on their own. So join me in part 2.
I didn't see a part 2, for what it's worth. All right. Allegedly, Dave is back, and he's talking about sovereign citizen stuff again. This is talking about what he considers to be mortgage fraud. This is basically the stuff Cataspinda believes in that led to her losing her house because she stopped paying the mortgage payment because she believed money wasn't real, so she thought she didn't have to pay her mortgage that she agreed to and signed. Many times, if you have a mortgage, you remember how many times they had you sign and especially initial the mortgage agreement. Anyway, so here he is. Don't worry, I know about the pee-pee moratorium. Despite the fact that allegedly Dave likes to drink his own pee-pee, he doesn't bring it up in this video to my knowledge. So the pee moratorium continues. Until December. Mark your calendars for Pissmas.
Wonderful interviews. Now, we had a guest on the show some time ago now, and a huge amount of people said, you must get him back. And so I have. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm talking to the one and only, allegedly, Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well. Thank you for coming back.
I've seen this content creator on the left multiple times. He shows up on Sovereign Citizen and Tinfoil Tuesday, and I think he's another example of the posh accent effect. You see this with Carl Benjamin, aka Sargon of Akkad, or at least it did back in like 2012, 2013 when he was still relevant. There's a certain segment of Americans who think and hear a sort of posh-sounding, or even not so posh-sounding, English accent, and they assume this person's smart. This person knows what they're talking about. It's weird. It's a weird phenomena, but it exists. Faye TVI, thanks for following.
And you've come back this time armed with an idea.
An idea? I've had an idea, yeah.
So it's always good when you get an idea. Now, you said to me when you came in, and I was actually, I was doing a bit of cooking, baking some biscuits. Don't tell everyone because I know it's got sugar in and sugar is bad and all of that, but every now and again. Anyway, that wasn't the idea. It wasn't.
Sugar in moderation is fine. You're fine. Enjoy life a little bit. You're fine. Have a cookie.
The new recipe for the Vobes. Thank the Lord. But you said that you woke up with this idea.
Yeah. I just literally woke up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and with this idea fully formed in my head. I was like, whoa! And I just got up and wrote it all down. And
wow!
Yeah, it just came up with a whole sort of proposal thing. So,
well, isn't that brilliant?
Yeah,
that is brilliant. So, I suppose we ought to find out what the idea is.
Right. Well, obviously, I've got to kind of keep some of it quiet because it's it's a bit sort of let's say sensitive.
Right.
But
we don't want the enemy to know what we're up
to. He only has
to.
the concept of an idea. Funny. Rob P, thanks for following.
Exactly.
I should just say, for those that don't know, allegedly, I mean, a lot of people know that, and I'm sure all my audience do, and especially all the people who've requested you. But of course, you are very helpful for a lot of people in the lawful world and fighting against some of the nasty legalese things that entraps people. Mm-hmm. So just a little bit of background to what I know you do lots of other things and give amazing talks, and maybe we'll get on to where you're likely to be and things coming up later on. But
Rob, thank you for subscribing with Prime too. I appreciate it.
Just thought I would give that little bit of background. So yes, you have something there called the Mortgage Project.
The Mortgage Project, yes. Well, I'll give a bit of background first, right? So banks do an awful lot of fraudulent things.
I'm very concerned he's going to tell a bunch of people to stop paying their mortgages, which would be the worst advice possible.
That they've actually legalized, right? So one of them is fractional reserve banking.
Right.
Which is essentially back in the days where gold was the actual money, right? They figured out, right, because they got people to put their gold in their vaults and they'd give them receipts, vouchers, yes. Okay? And, people started exchanging these vouchers. And the banks realised that only 10% of people would ever come into the bank and say, can I have a look at my gold, please?
Right?
So if only 10% of people actually went to see the gold...
They're going to make fractional reserve banking sound like a scam.
That meant they could lend out 90% more vouchers than they actually had in gold.
Yes.
Which is a good thing because it allows for economic movement. It allows money to be lent out that otherwise would just be sitting there doing nothing, which leads to more economic productivity. I understand that economic productivity is not the end all be all, but it, generally speaking, is a good thing. It allows people to do things and work and get resources to do projects. Oh, God.
So essentially they were counterfeiting. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I guess...
It's not counterfeiting. That's not what that is.
If everybody who had these vouchers came back and said, let's have a look at the gold, they would be in trouble.
And that's what would be called a bank run.
Right.
Yeah, a real bank run was when everybody said, well, I want to see my real money, and the banks had to shut their doors because they didn't have it.
And we have seen that in history.
Yes.
And we may well be coming up to something like that soon. Who knows? So that's fractional. So they're lending...
I find it interesting that sovereign citizens and gold bugs have been saying the same thing basically since the Great Depression, or rather since we switched over to fiat currency. I know it happened, they took it off gold and then they took it off silver and it gradually happened. But basically since that started happening, they've been saying, oh, we don't have sound money. It's going to lead to entire everything collapsing. Still hasn't. Imperfect Rebus says, he started talking about gold and I worried that you had lied about postponement.
Yeah, more money than they've actually got. They don't, most people are completely ignorant of that.
Right. And the other thing is that the promissory notes themselves, the bank notes, they're promises to pay, originally an amount of silver.
Yes.
But now that they've taken away the silver, right, the promissory notes don't actually mean anything. They're just empty.
Dave, you can use them to procure goods and services. That's what they are good for. They are money. They are lawful money because you can use them to buy goods and services.
He promises to pay you something.
And pay debts.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't remember who it was who told me that in the last couple of years since doing this. And when you realise that you're carrying around, and we all know we're carrying around bits of paper, but they are basically worth nothing more than bits of paper.
You could literally say the same thing about silver coins or gold coins. At least those are a commodity. I understand what you're saying, but that's one of the things that makes them bad as currency. It's not good. Please understand that, yes, it is a social construct, but it is an important social construct that functions.
That's it.
Exactly.
And it's purely faith that's keeping it going.
Right. And the last thing that they do, that's again fraudulent, but it's called securitization. It means they take the promissory note, right, that you create, right, when you sign that mortgage agreement, and then they sell it, right, without you knowing, because you don't know that agreement is actually a promissory note that's worth something.
Which you've created.
So you've created money, right? They don't tell you that.
No.
But then they take the agreement and then they...
You didn't create money, you created a transferable, like, instrument. It's a loan, and loans can be traded and packaged with other loans into commodities. Yes. It's not a crime. Jimmy Tea Time, thanks for 13 months. Says, hooray, streak, woo!
On the securities market. And they get the full value of that note. Yeah.
So not only have you created the money to begin with when you borrow the house, when you go to buy a house.
No, you didn't.
And they put the money you created into your bank account, lend it back to you.
They didn't create the money from you. You got a loan.
You pay it back over X many years with interest. They also take that same form that you've done, and so they're making so much money on the back of every mortgage. No wonder they want to keep building houses.
Right.
I'm sorry, do they not understand that mortgages are a for-profit endeavor? And they think it's a secret and a scam that they make money on mortgages? That's their whole purpose. Why would the bank give you a mortgage if they weren't making money on it? Like, they make money through interest, but also, yes, if they package it up with other mortgages into a bond or something, they can make money selling that. But yes, like, that's what a mortgage is. I'm not even saying this is, like, the ideal way to handle housing. I'm just saying he's acting like this is a secret, and that all of a sudden he's discovered they're making a profit off of mortgages. Yeah, it's a bank. That's their business.
Well, in my talk, it was called The Great Big Mortgage Caper, I show that if you borrowed, say, £100,000 for a house, they make somewhere upwards of 1.8 million, right? Whether you pay it back or not.
My God, right. Yeah. Even so they'll still chase you for the money that you created and potentially throw...
You didn't create the money. You did not create the money.
You out of your own house if you don't.
That's why you needed a mortgage, because you can't do that.
Pay it.
Exactly.
Out of your own money.
Yeah.
And yet they're still making vastly more from the securitization.
Well, more than that. They actually take out a insurance policy, right, just in case you default on the mortgage, yeah? So
I think that typically only happens if your credit score is quite low, or if you only put a small amount down on the house, in which case they make you pay for insurance escrowed into your mortgage payment, if I'm remembering correctly. Green Guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, money is worth as much as the market says, no matter what it is. There is no food. Gold is worthless. Or if there is no food, gold is worthless. Yeah. It's ultimately a way of facilitating trade. It's a way of facilitating, like, abstract relationships so that we can, like, trade goods and services and service our debts.
So they get paid anyway.
So that, yes, if you default 90 days or 91 days after you default, they can claim on that mortgage policy and they get the full amount of the mortgage.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's around if you put less than 20% down, they make you pay for like mortgage insurance, at least for the first 10 years, something like that. It depends. It depends on the individual mortgage agreement.
My God. Yeah, what a swizz it is.
It is. But the actual biggest fraud is the fact that they don't create the interest. When they create a loan, they only create the principal.
Right.
They don't create the interest.
Correct. The interest is what you are paying back. That's the money that they get on top of the money that they lent you. That's why they are doing it, to make a profit by getting the principal returned to them and interest? Yes? What does he think a loan is? What does he think a loan is?
So that doesn't seem like it means very much. But think about this. Let's imagine there's no money in the world. No money at all, right? And you go to the bank to borrow.
Sorry to cross streams, but is Dave saying fractional reserve banking is functionally identical to naked short selling? Yeah, basically. At least he morally views it in the same way. Yeah, pretty much.
£100,000. Well, you're going to have to pay back £300,000
Because of the interest.
because of the interest.
Right.
But there's only £100,000 in the world because they only created £100,000.
But there isn't only £100,000 in the world. It's your job to then go out and do something where you make money, like either a job or investments or something. So you are doing something, at least in theory, productive, and then you make money and you pay back. What? Does he think that an individual bank owns all the money in the world? Oh God. Oh God.
So where are you going to get
The extra 200.
the extra 200 from? The only way you're going to get that is if the bank loans to two other people £100,000. Now there's enough money for you to pay, but now there's two people who can't pay back their mortgage.
Oh, I
So
see.
then the bank has to lend more to
No, because you can all get money, in theory at least, by doing things. You're acting like the only things that exist in the universe are these like three individuals and the bank, and that there's no economy outside of this, like, these three mortgages. Like, what are we doing? Even in this hypothetical scenario, you would need a Fed in there or something facilitating like a currency in the first place that could then say, okay, well, 3U exist. Let's make money by doing things for each other. You can be the baker, you can be the butcher, you can be the candlestick maker, and we'll issue currency, and then you trade it amongst yourselves, and then you can pay back to the bank, and the bank will pay to the Fed, and then the Fed will, deal with monetary policy and how much should be going out to facilitate people doing things for each other via transactions using the money.
to other
So
people.
it's continual lending out more money and more money.
And as long as the bank is lending out money, the game carries on and everybody's none the wiser. Yeah. And money's flowing, everybody's happy. All the bank has to do to create a recession or a depression is restrict the number of loans.
Again, the bank. The bank!
Right.
As if there's one bank.
So they restrict the number of loans on the back end, so the mortgages that are already out there can't get paid off.
Oh, I see.
So then, money gets tight and everyone is in a depression. And nobody knows that it was just because the banks started to turn down the loans.
That's really interesting. So another...
That's such nonsense. Like, even recently, the closest thing I can think to what he's talking about is changing interest rates and increasing, like recently in the States, in order to quell inflation. The Fed upped interest rates for a while, and there was the amount of mortgages, new mortgages, went down somewhat, but that's part of what the Fed was doing, was trying to decrease demand in order to cool inflation, not only in housing, but generally. which they did, and now they're pulling back on that, and I think they just decreased interest rates by like 0.5 point. It's like they don't understand the point of anything. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, did they not understand money is a cycle, like the water cycle? It comes in and gets reused. I don't think they do. Like, the money, the currency, like, flows from the Fed to the banks, and then the banks to businesses and individuals to purchase homes or start businesses or do whatever ventures that they're going to do, improvements or maintenance on their homes or something, whatever, right? It's to output value that can be used for economic activity, that can be used to facilitate people doing labor for each other, and then that money gets paid back and slowly trickles back up through loan interest payments and other things to the government. Like, what? Okay.
In other words, there would be never a situation where all the entire loans could ever be paid off, because there's always this debt of money that doesn't yet exist.
Exactly.
Until some other sucker takes out a loan.
Exactly, and then they can pay off the previous loan. Yeah, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, blimey.
They'll only keep going as long as they're making loans.
Yeah.
And as I said, they can create a depression or recession without anybody knowing why it's happening, just by turning down the number of loans.
The United States hasn't had a depression, and I don't know about the UK, but the United States hasn't had a depression since the Great Depression, am I right? We've certainly had recessions. The 2008 economic crisis was quite bad, but I don't think we've had a depression in almost a century, and part of that's because of the Federal Reserve and the monetary policy that we put in place to allow the government and the Fed to, like, pull levers to adjust things in the economy as they're happening to cushion the blows of, like, economic downturn.
That's it. And nobody, them turning down the number of loans.
I thought depression was a technical term, because I thought recession was how many quarters of decline, 2 or 3, and I thought depression was like 4 or 8 or something.
Doesn't alert anybody that anything's wrong.
No.
Right? They're just saying, we're just being careful. But no, they're literally causing.
They're causing
a recession.
So they would be using the old, but it's for your benefit. We don't think you could raise the money, so therefore, and they must know they've got to, whatever their scheme is to, well, we've got to get X many loans reduced,
right,
so we can create this depression.
Green guy with another $3 tip says it's why billionaires and millionaires are bad for the economy, because they hold on to it and it stops cycling.
Well, the other thing about that idea of only creating the principal, not the interest, is that essentially 70% of people aren't going to be able to pay their mortgages off.
Wow.
The thing is, it's just hidden because the terms are so long and the amounts are so big, and the number of people involved are so big that we can't see the game in its entirety.
And I suppose it doesn't help that our parents and grandparents have all been paying off theirs, and it's kind of set in stone, and it all seems very laudable, and banks seem very honourable, and they're looking after your money, which isn't really your money at all. All of this stuff.
And you know what? The attraction of getting a mortgage and buying real estate is the idea that the real estate will accrue value, and you've stored money, and you've made money on this. But I sat down and worked it out. Right now, okay, to a little story. When the new money came in, 1971. Right, I think I was 8 years old at the time. And
Freyline says, according to Forbes, definitions vary, but a depression typically refers to a severe and long-lasting economic decline that can affect several countries simultaneously. Oh, that's vague.
I went into a shop with a sixpence, because we had a period where you could still use the old.
Lennon Cat says, according to Investopedia, a recession is 2 quarters, and a depression is a recession that lasts 3 or more years, or that leads to a decline in real GDP of at least 10% in a given year. Marcus Drake says, is there a single human being on Earth who thinks banks are honorable? I don't think even bankers like bankers.
Old money.
Yes, I remember it well.
Yes. So I went into a shop with a sixpence, and I wanted to buy a curly whirly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was 5 new p. And my 8-year-old brain couldn't figure out why I've got 6 here.
Yes, which is
Curly
more
Whirly
than
is
5.
5.
Yeah.
Why can't I get the Curly Whirly? You know, 6pence was only worth 2.5p, I think it was. So, so I remembered that story, and I thought, well, okay, if a Curly Whirly in 1971 was 5p, what is it now? It's around about £1 for a Curly Whirly.
Blimey.
Someone from the UK want to tell me what the fuck a curly whirly is? Halloween Town. Yep, same brain. Marcus Drake says, there a single human being on Earth who... Oh, I just read that. My apologies.
Yeah, it's around that, because not only have they increased the price, they've made the thing smaller.
Yes.
Right, so you don't notice.
Yeah.
Right, so it's essentially a pound. So inflation, right, in that,
Chocolate bar with caramel. Okay.
that 50
I'm not a caramel fan.
odd years has been sort of, I can't remember the percentage now, but it's like,
I like nougat.
you know,
Huge.
right? So what I did was I worked out, my mum and dad bought a house, I think it was like for £3,000, right?
3,000.
Yeah. And it was paid off in about 1996, and my dad ended up with something like 86,000. So it sounds like it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you factor in that inflation, essentially, my dad made about £500 more than he borrowed. When you factor in inflation,
Right.
Literally, if that £3,000, I think it was actually 4,000. I think that £4,000, when you add inflation in, was about 88,000 or something. You know, not
Right.
much more than he
Paid.
borrowed in the first place.
Gosh.
And he's paid for, you know, mortgage payments and council tax and rates and all that stuff on top of that. So
Yeah.
you don't win.
No, I
in
was
that
going to say, you
situation.
just can't, can
You
you?
can't win in it, you know. But the illusion is that
Yes.
you are winning. Yeah.
With a Q with 48 months says 4 more years.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's
I would say, by the way, as someone who has a mortgage and a house, the way you win is that you have a house. That's the win. Hooray.
like a casino. That's why we keep playing, because there's the illusion out there that you can win.
But it's only then, when you're in somebody like yourself, or you've been to one of your talks and you're enlightened by this fact, and you suddenly get a little bit angry that not only have oneself been duped, but other people unfairly.
Unstable Deadbeat says, rankings are arbitrary and reductive. Why can't we love caramel and nougat equally? Because caramel is ass, and nougat is dope.
And that these bankers have got all the cards, including all the jokers and everything.
Peace was never an option.
And then you think, well, what can we do about it?
Well, I think it was Henry Ford that said, if the people found out how the money works, then there'll be a revolution in the morning.
Yeah.
Hannah candy bar tier list when anything Reese's, normal Kit Kats, Nestle Crunch Bars, any other kind of Nestle chocolate, everything else.
Yes.
And there would be.
Yes.
If all the muggles out there figured out, bloody hell, that's what they're doing to us. That's it. That's the game's over. Yeah.
Take 5 are okay. I actually like Take 5. They do have caramel, though, so they get points taken out.
But it does seem that people are so dumbed down that even though you tell people...
Steve with the Q says, caramel is ass. Caramel is ambrosia. Unstable Deadbeat says, rankings are arbitrary and reductive. Why can't we love ass and dope equally? That's something I can get on board with. Three Musketeers are great. I enjoy Three Musketeers. I'll put Three Musketeers below Kit Kats on the
and
list.
they go, what can I do?
Well, you know, that attitude basically comes from the incredulity of it.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way they can believe that this is what's going on.
And for so long.
And for so long, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, this idea, we kind of know the banks are cheating us anyway.
That the American way of saying caramel. Caramel, caramel, potato, tomato, tomato.
But you know, what can we do about it, yeah?
Exactly. And I guess, I mean, part of your job and many others is to empower people to realise, actually, knowing about it is one thing. It's then challenging them. Because what have you got to lose if you're just challenging them?
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Challenging.
It depends how. I suppose I should reform that as questioning it with them, because it is like, I suppose you could go to the bank and when you're taking out the mortgage and say, oh, the signature I'm about to put on here, am I putting money into the bank by creating that, and seeing what they say?
Well, actually, what would happen is either they'll lie to you, right? Well, actually, think about it.
If they don't give you the answer we're telling you, they'll give you, it's definitely a lie. Harold Elbleman says, okay, I think Dave has a point, a really dumb point, but still, repaying a loan requires more money and labor be added to the system, new value created to pay the damn thing off. So as long as they're issuing loans and we're doing work, everything flows, but you need a sink and source of the whole thing fails. I think, don't quote me, not financial advice. Yeah, but that's like how the economy functions. Like, I'm not saying it's right, but like, yes, that is the system, is that people need to continually do things for things to continue. Entropy exists. If everyone decided to stop doing things, everything would fall apart immediately, like within a week.
When you go and sit down to sign your mortgage, there isn't anybody else there apart from your lawyer or your solicitor.
Right.
So who do you ask?
So who do you ask? Yeah, that's very true.
So no, you won't be able to challenge them that way. But okay, when I first started along this route, sort of the free man on the land sort of thing, I got rid of a credit card debt, and I did that with just one letter, actually asking questions on how this works. But in a way that shows that I know how it works.
You know how it works, and they don't want to mess with you.
And what actually happened was, even though I was actually not in arrears, I'd paid up to date. There was nothing wrong with my account or anything. Right? I just asked them a few questions, and then next thing I knew, there was debt collectors coming after me. They'd written off the debt.
But they'd handed it on to a debt collector.
Yes. So, even though it was completely up to date, there was nothing wrong, right? Just me asking those questions was enough for them to just...
So was that to try and...
I'm going to go ahead and hit X to doubt on that one. I don't think they're handing your mortgage over to a debt collector just because you asked a question.
And intimidate
Humble Homestead, thanks for 200 bits and kicking off a hype train.
you to say, don't ask these sort of questions.
Essentially, yeah. That was it, because... I think I wasn't the first person to ask those questions, so they could see the writing on the wall that I know where this is going. Yeah, so let's just cut and run. Yeah,
send it on. But luckily, of course, you weren't intimidated, and you are here today with a different idea. And
I'm gonna be honest, I would imagine it's not even legal for them to send your debt to a debt collector unless you haven't paid, right? Like, they can't just arbitrarily send your debt to collections. Like, you didn't not pay it.
Idea that you woke up with.
Yes.
From divine source.
33% to level 1 on a hype train.
Who knows?
Right. Yeah. Now, I've told you the idea.
You have.
So,
yeah.
But again, I don't want to sort of release too many details out there. But it will require a bit of trust on the part of the people participating, to trust me. I don't know, some bloke from Basildon, but
I'm sorry, the UK town names always sound made up. Basildon. Like a parody of an English city name or an English town name. Basildon. Stone Corval, thanks for gifting a sub.
A nice bloke from Basildon. I mean, certainly all my interactions with you have been very nice. So,
good.
And I've actually performed in Basildon, so there's a connection there.
Have you? And you got out alive?
I got out alive. Yeah, I did have. I was dressed as a robot in Basildon in the shopping centre, and I did have a few young kids of about 13 kick me and poke me to see if I was real. But I did sort of then come to life like that, and that scared them.
Well, normally somebody like that would get little kids weeing on them and stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the 90s, so hopefully it wasn't like these days. But anyway, so bloke from Basildon.
Yeah, so
I've had enough of the discussion of Basildon. We can move on. let's take a look at Marcel. Marcel recently had another meeting with his group of basically MLM people. Let's check it out.
Maybe that'll jump around a little better. I don't know what I did that made this weird. I've never had Zoom be like this for a thing, but oh well. Anything else on anyone's mind? Anyone want to say hi?
He's just smoking on stream, of course.
Anyone I don't
Hello.
hear from, I'm gonna bug you at some point. So hi Ellen, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. The yellow box is jumping to who's talking now, so I'm happy. Yay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't stay in the apartment because Elaine was echoing over, so I had to move to my other office.
Gotcha.
Her car.
Yep.
Why did Marcel start shilling again? I don't think he ever stopped, did he? The only time he stopped really was when he went to jail. But as soon as he got out, he was doing stuff again. I think so.
Wonderful. And you're doing okay?
Minute left in the hype
Things
train.
are good?
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're still working on getting people to sign for us. We invited everybody out to dinner. We paid for dinner and we had a lady back out.
Oh, okay.
So again, this entire thing is basically an MLM or a multi-level marketing scheme, but the product is sovereign citizen ideology. It's a bunch of scam material. And Marcel gets money from these people as a monthly fee, and they're trying to recruit people in to get money from them, to go to Marcel. Pyramid scheme. You know how it is.
So we're doing it this weekend.
Okay, got you. Yeah, usually
We
Second
had
I book
family
them, then I
back
can-
out.
Usually when I
Been
book an
awful.
event, I try and book 1 to 3 people extra, just in case you get someone who cold feets or doesn't show.
We don't have that many friends.
Just so you know, I've literally paid homeless people $20 to sign a piece of paper. I've given 8
You know what?
to 5. Just bribe them. If it comes down to it, just bribe them.
What? Is that an effective marketing strategy?
Well, we thought a Chinese dinner was bribing them.
Well, it should be. Yeah, no, absolutely. It sounds like that one lady
This
just
wasn't
had
it.
other ideas last minute. So
Yeah, just wasn't bragging the right people.
you had a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn families and friends. Yeah. Yeah, even my best friend.
I actually find it's easier sometimes to go through strangers. The way
Yeah.
you explain it in sales is your
I
family
was just gonna
friends as
say
a
that.
salesman are the hardest people to sell because they've seen
Yeah.
you at your best, they've seen you at your worst, they know your dumb ideas you did, and they know what's smart about you, if anything. So trying to sell your parent a car versus a stranger, the stranger is going to take you more seriously as long as you do a good job in that moment and are credible, right? So just know
Yeah.
family and friends are. I can't get any of my family or friends to do this shit with me. Just so you know, I told my mom and dad to take a hike, everything, because they all treat me like I'm crazy. So
Can't imagine why. Nikigami says, but remember everyone, banks and the Fed, those are the real scams, not Marcel's pyramid scheme. Excuse you, it's a reverse funnel system.
I'm on your side. I understand totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
I feel
In
you.
my
They're way too impressed with him. He's a man of confidence, that Marcel of the family Bassett. Truly.
I'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, and in my family's defense, I was a crazy teenager, so I broke them long before I got into sovereignty. In their defense.
Like your 500 street fights that you say you won. Trying to get a better
But
angle
this
on
thing
this.
isn't crazy and it's good. So they're lost, but whatever. Yeah.
So when
Mhm.
you get your society, like once we get all our people together and get
Yep.
their signature and everything, can you do anything retroactive?
Regarding like retroactive for what?
Well,
Like, because debts, you can dissolve debts if they existed before your society exists, because we're just arguing the fraud. But like you couldn't, let's say, because I have some people ask me if they can backdate their paperwork or someone signed the oath, at an earlier date. But if you do any of that, it's fraud.
And we wouldn't want to do that. That's pretty funny. Reminder, Marcel had his bank account taken away somewhat recently because they finally noticed he was doing fraud and trying to claim these bank accounts were for organizations when in reality they're for individuals and tax avoidance.
You're right.
So I wouldn't
Right.
recommend doing that because you're literally
Okay.
violating your own oath, which invalidates your law.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're the only one who knows and no one else knows, it's between you and your conscience and God. But my official advice is bad idea.
Did I see the Chase Bank scammers? I did. That was some foolishness. That was some foolishness to think that that was gonna work. It's literally just check fraud. It's basic check fraud.
You don't do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, I wouldn't do that. I was just thinking
I
of
know.
a situation with Ellen when she got fired from her job improperly, like it was done stupid, and she got a lawyer, and the lawyer hasn't done anything for her.
See, that would be in the legal civil suit stuff. That'd be in the legal system because it's the body corporate that was hired, ultimately going after the company and the corporate rules. But let's say for Joanna, with the sheriffs kicking her off her land, if her society wasn't founded yet, she can go after them for that because it was still a violation of law and she still did the right things. But if you're at a legal job and you're employed as a legal person, the sovereignty is not going to give you any leverage unless you just want to go after them in private law as a company for being a fraud with their clients and you just want to go after them to try and destroy them. That you could do. But
how are you going to destroy them in the private? You going to do a civil lawsuit? I know that's not what he means because he doesn't think that engaging in the actual legal system is worth anything. What does he mean by that? Probably filing illegal liens, which is a felony.
But can you go after them with private law to retroactively get paid for wrongful dismissal? I doubt it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you would just
Okay.
use the civil litigation lawyer, and if that lawyer sucks, just get a different one. And what I do when I hire
Okay,
lawyers,
at least he's telling them to actually civilly sue someone if they deserve it.
call the best law firm that you know you can afford, and then when they tell you you can't afford them, ask them who they would recommend that you can afford. So like
Okay,
when I'm advocating for prisoners in jail and that, a lot of them had crappy lawyers. So what we would do is we fire the lawyer.
That's concerning to me that he's ever dealt with advocacy for anyone in prison.
And then I would switch them over to the better lawyer, basically. And
Okay.
and we would just get lawyers to refer them because you can get a legal aid lawyer, but legal aid lawyers suck. So what you want is a proper lawyer, but that accepts legal aid for criminal defense stuff anyway. And that's where if your lawyer's sucking, call around to his competition, say, this is my lawyer, is he good or does he suck? And other lawyers, they might not say he sucks, but like, oh, ooh, that guy. Like they all have opinions that they're happy to say under their breath for a second in their honest reaction to whoever. And lawyers have a lot of ego too, which you can use against them to help them, to get them to help you. So yeah, so you just want to be referred where you call a few law firms that are really, really good you can't afford, and then you'll hear from them who is good, that's still building their practice, basically, where their rates are more reasonable because they haven't been doing it 20 years yet. And what you want is you want someone at about, if someone has like a 30-40 year law career, I try.
Possible, Grimthorpe. It's possible he's just obfuscating other prisoners he talked to while he was in jail, because we know he's been in jail or prison multiple times.
And get them ideally between like 6 and 12 years.
Okay.
6 and 15 years because they're hungry.
Yeah.
They're building their name. Like my lawyer now, if he hadn't been my lawyer for 30 years, he's not the guy I would get anymore. I just stay with him because he's known me forever and he's friends with everyone and he can make stuff go away.
It's kind of rude to say about his lawyer. I certainly wouldn't choose him today, but I know him, so whatever.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so that's my advice on the civil litigation. Get a better lawyer, and yeah, the sovereignty won't help with wrongful dismissal.
Okay.
But good questions though, because I'm sure other people will wonder that too. So do you have anything to add to that, Ellen, or are you good?
Well, it's just it's the severance that they're fighting with. They don't want to pay me severance for
Okay,
24 and a half years.
I'm pretty sure you'll win that. I would think, as long as you have a decent lawyer. No, really, eh?
I
They don't
would
have to
check
give
with the
severance?
labor board because I'm pretty sure they have to by law.
Well, and that's what I thought as well. And the lawyer expressed that, oh, we'll see what we can do about that. Like maybe they'll give you something. But I mean, 24 and a half
Call the
years of
labor board, they'll tell
loyalty.
you.
Yeah, I would do what Ken says and call the labor board, because a lot of lawyers suck
Okay.
and literally they're limited liability because they're incompetent.
Yes, and that's what I.
Nope. Anyone doing any sort of business is limited liability or something along those lines to protect their personal assets from business issues. If you don't do that, that's foolish.
I have
Yeah,
learned.
they're out. They're out
They're
to
limited
screw you, so I wouldn't
liability.
listen to them.
And just so you know,
Okay.
like the guys in jail and the guys I know on the street who are like into guns and like crack and coke and the bad stuff, in one case, they'll usually go through between 2 and 5 lawyers.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you considered that that's abnormal and that the people you know are really, really, really difficult clients? I'm just saying, that's not normal.
And they'll just fire them. And the other thing is, if you don't feel a lawyer's doing a good job, like if that guy's kind of wishy-washy, call his licensing board. Or tell him, give him the opportunity.
Also, I find it funny that he's basically admitting those guys were guilty by being like, oh, they're really into cocaine and other bad stuff. Oh, so they needed lawyers who will help them get out of their actual criminal action. Okay, I got you. Cool.
Say, I don't think you're doing it properly. You're sitting here wishy-washy. Do a good job, or I'm going to licensing that you're incompetent. You're not representing me properly.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it, but threatening to do it will scare him. So he puts you at the top of his priority and does a good job instead of slacking.
Yeah, they don't just consider you a difficult client and not want to help you.
Just taking your money.
They'll definitely do better for you if you complain to them.
Not caring and doing a half-ass job.
Well, I owe him nothing unless he gets something. So.
Oh, well, that's good at least. Fair enough. Within that, though, sometimes you get what you pay for with that too, though.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now.
I would just go get some second opinions.
Okay.
Just go sit down
on the labor board.
Say, I'm shopping around. I'm not really happy with this guy. This is kind of where it's at. What do you think? And then they'll say, oh, no, he's doing the right thing with where he's at. Or they'll be like, I would do it this way. And then at that point, you can decide if they're more motivated and have a better answer. Because with your lawyer being like, maybe we will, maybe we won't. That's a shitty salesman. Like, as your lawyer, he should be like, we will do our best. And I can't guarantee anything, but we're going to fight for you and we're going to roast him best we can. And he should have brought up the labor board thing instead of Ken doing it. Right? Like,
yeah, so, well, you see, they made it out to be my fault because I wouldn't do the testing. And I said, no way. Because
is that for the,
there's no one.
Are you talking about COVID testing? Is that?
Oh my God. She wouldn't. Oh my God. It's not, okay, so it's not even that they made you get, I assume this was a case where they were making you either show proof of vaccination or doing the tests. It's not, and she chose to not even do the tests? Come on.
That why you left?
That's why I got fired.
Okay, so that, because of that.
I assume that's with cause. I don't know Canadian labor laws, so I can't speak to what is or is not owed to her. I don't know. Morally, though, that's just foolish. That's really foolish that you allowed yourself to get fired over COVID tests. Sheesh.
Yes, when you have your society up.
Literally, that you would have just had to stick a cotton swab up your fucking nose. That's it.
You could go after them for firing you for that because they're already in violation of international.
Usually you need to follow policy to get severance. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's that, and that's the reason.
National law, it's Article 7 of the International Criminal Code, Crimes Against Mankind.
Okay.
So, believe me also when I say I get it. I've done multiple COVID tests. I've done like 3, 4, 5, you know, I get it. It's really uncomfortable. You stick it really far up there and it fucking burns and it sucks. I understand. But if it was that or not having a job, I would do that. And I would also do that because I respect my coworkers and I respect other people enough to not want to infect them with something. Ugh.
I threatened my boss with that before I even knew, because I knew of the war crimes.
Yeah.
I told her, I whispered in her ear that she was nothing but a Nazi.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that helped. See. Oh, God.
Beautiful.
Violates the Nuremberg Code, too.
The Nuremberg Code.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And then
I don't feel sympathy anymore. That's a shame.
Okay, well, we'll talk.
For her, in general, I still do at this point.
Talk about this after we're dealt with this, because then
After we get our signatures.
Yeah.
And then something else just on the
Happens.
personal side of things, like if that's me, and let's say I fight that fight, and let's say I don't win, but I still don't like the lady who fired me, I would buy the domain with her name, and I would do full instant report on her being a fucking Nazi and that she supports international war crimes, and do an affidavit of truth on the instant and have that published on a website with her name. So every time anyone Googles her name, it comes up.
Look at his face. He looks like he's like, yeah, motherfucker. Mm. This is like psychotic. He's basically saying make a website with her name that says she's a Nazi.
Oh, wow.
Oh dear. She works
That's what
for
I
the
would do.
YMCA
Just
Canada.
as a screw you. Now,
That's
you don't
genius.
have to. And
It's
if you
not
don't want to,
genius. It really isn't.
don't.
This
I'm
is
just-
like
I'm-
middle school level stuff.
Vindictive with stuff like that sometimes with agents. Now, as much as I say that, I've never done it. Okay, but if you wanted to be vindictive, that's my feminine psyche kicking in, and that's how you go get them.
Fucking what? Let me just say the most deranged shit ever, and then I'm gonna say that's my feminine side. The sexism! The sexism is incredible. What a monster. What a monster. He's into Jordan Peterson, for those that don't know. So what he's saying there is basically, that's his chaotic energy. And Jordan Peterson, asshole supreme, says that chaotic energy is feminine by nature. It's the chaos dragon. And that's why he's making that association.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that would definitely ruin her. She's already digging her own hole of the things that I hear her doing, because I still hang out with like I do a meditation with one of the ladies that still works there.
Nice.
And
Is that dies of laughter or merely maimed? I'd say maimed. Maimed of laughter.
yeah, this woman is a piece of work. That's the supervisor of the center.
Well, and that's
yeah.
where too, like for me, over the last 15 years, I've been violated a lot. And even before that, when I was in weed, some people stole a pound there. When I was in jail for the 6 months there, my ex-roommate stole 10 grand worth of weed off me and sold it. So
Wow.
you have that choice where you can go into vengeance mode, but the time and energy it takes, you're generally better off just to move on and make your life better.
I like that it's not even a moral thing, or like it's better for you to come to terms with like forgiveness and like moving past things. It's not worth your time. Your vindictive nature is better served moving forward and proactively attacking new enemies, not reveling and staying around to fight people who have wronged you in the past. We gotta go wrong all new people. We got this.
And if someone's really that big an idiot, their life is going to suck.
I've never heard Marcel talk about the Queen of Canada. I wish I knew his opinion, but I've never heard him discuss Romana Didulo.
And the next person they screw over might be the one who stabs them, right? So
yeah, she's screwing over my girlfriend. Crazy,
but yeah, so
yeah.
that's kind of my thing. Like when I have opportunity to get revenge on people, I honestly never do.
I know.
2 months. Let's put it all on 2 months, Rachiology. All my chips. We did it.
Oh, I've had the same and I don't.
Yeah. But those legal agents better smarten up, because not everyone's as nice as us. So we're still sharing the knowledge. So maybe someone else will be more vindictive in the right way. And yeah, and maybe not. Who knows? It's all in God's hands. I try not to worry too much about that. So, and then the only other thing is just, the nice thing is now with having your society and going down that path is the future, you'll be empowered to employ yourself rather than needing a job from a corporate system. And that will be how you're improving your functioning and your operating systems, so that you're not a victim of that system in the future. Because it's like on the street, as a weed dealer, if somebody can rob me, it's my fault. If I have a crew on the street and someone beats them up or robs them, it's still my fault. Because if you're competent, you should be able to protect yourself in a way that enemies can't hurt you.
It's truly scary to me that Marcel views the entire world through the lens of a metaphor of the illegal drug trade and sees no issue with that and thinks that that worldview is applicable to everything in life. everything is akin to me selling drugs or distributing drugs in Canada, right? The same thing. Obviously, I'm very good at the law.
Or it diminishes how much they hurt you. Now, again, you guys are all new at this, so you didn't have societies before. This is new, all of that. But that's where this process now is empowering you. So in the future, you're not stuck in that loop. Because how much would it suck going through that? And then let's say next year with this Bill C-293 and whatever bullshit pandemic they're going to make up, they bring that in. If you go through that again, and then 3 years from there again, and then your social credit score is gone, and then you can't have a bank account. So that's where this process for you guys is giving you that protection that will make it you're not in that same insanity loop year after year, decade after decade.
Marcella's an all new insanity loop for you. When is this from? 8 days ago.
Cool.
And all this smart city stuff is being implemented at the city level. So the best fight against it is to implement what we want to do on our towns and our counties.
Yeah.
Because that's a fight we can win, rather than trying to take on, the whole country or the government or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So if we can focus on our own towns, our own municipalities and stuff,
yeah,
and expose these mayors that are going for this, that's how we do it, town by town.
Yeah, and that's where with now the Indigenous common law coming, we're basically just issuing cease and desist orders and notice to the corporate agencies that they're being transitioned to Indigenous common law, and they have to respect it because of the Supreme Court, and they really have no choice. And at that point, if they choose
they need
to still
be served all that,
do things the wrong.
By smart city, they mean like 15-minute cities, but the conspiratorial meaning of that, where they think that you won't be able to leave a certain area, and that there'll be like social credit scores. Basically dystopian 1984 type stuff.
Then that's again where we do the international judgments.
How does Marcel find these people? He spends a lot of time in conspiratorial circles. I follow his Facebook page. He spends a lot of time looking at conspiracy stuff. I imagine he markets himself around different conspiracy Facebook pages, Telegram channels, stuff like that. Penikagami says, man, isn't it great on how every libertarian thinks real freedom and financial goal is being a finance guy who has other people work and make money for them? Crazy, right?
Split them into legal courts, try and get the legal courts to enforce.
No one wants to be the janitor in your libertarian utopia. No one wants to be the janitor in a libertarian utopia, I guess would be the better wording.
The legal courts don't enforce, then we go to the international body.
It's a form of society that only sounds appealing if you're full of yourself enough to think you would be on top. Penikagami says, man, isn't it great on how... Oh, wait, I just read that. What the heck?
And get them to go after them. And that's where the military is organizing. There are factions in the military organizing against the system as well. That's why you're seeing P. Diddy getting arrested. That's why you're seeing pedophile rings starting to get picked up and taken out, is because there is the military and that level of really high up, whether it's FBI or whoever.
See what I mean? He goes right into the conspiracy theory stuff. He posts a lot on us Facebook about conspiracy theories.
But that is actually going in and arresting these groups.
No, he's not pro P. Diddy.
And doing that. And you're going to see that coming. I think Oprah is going to be one of the next ones because she was at all the P. Diddy parties and stuff. And she's been trafficking for a long time. That's one of the ones that'll shock a lot of people because you always think of her as being amazing. I grew up thinking she was awesome in that too. But yeah, you see her at award shows like sucking on pedophiles' ears and stuff. And
yeah.
Anyway, I'll drop Oprah for now. But yeah, the pedophile rings are going down. And then I just on Facebook saw a list of a whole bunch of the people that are pedophiles at the P. Diddy parties. You got everyone from Serena Williams on there. Like there's almost nobody who's not on there. The Royals are all on there. Like, so what's nice is
see what I mean? He just gets lists and stuff from conspiratorial websites and believes them at face value.
Is we're getting to see the truth to the power structure, and they're being exposed that they're pedophiles. And that makes it really easy for us to convince the public. You want to support pedophiles? You want them touching kids? No. Okay, then this is the other option. And on the local level, you're exactly right. That's why we want to set up the advocacy firms in each city, because it is on a local level. So that way we get the noticing the mayor and the police, and at the same time have the teams going out to the neighborhoods and waking them up and signing them up, getting them their own societies, standing under Indigenous common law, empowering the First Nations tribes for doing what they're doing as well. And then industry, like
Finikagami says, hey buddy, if you have a problem with being stuck in a single space and not allowed to leave, you shouldn't support a closed border because that's literally turning one's country into a prison. But hey, I just actually think through my beliefs.
Like you guys are talking about growing food and this and that. And yeah, it's literally just organizing committees now and just having the right people on those and getting into everything now. So,
well, we can serve them and make them famous, just like you said earlier.
yes,
You know, that's what they scare. They don't want everybody knowing their dirty little secrets, right? So if we expose the hell out of them and their globalistic plans for our towns,
dirty little secret
and whatnot,
Sorry.
Yep.
and serve them notice on that.
Who sings that song? It just makes me think in high school, we had a poster that was one of those like Got Milk posters, but it was the band that sang Dirty Little Secret. And it was, the title on the poster was I'll Be Your Dairy Little Secret. And I hated that poster, the All-American Rejects. An All-American Rejects poster, and they had milk mustaches, and it said, I'll be your dairy little secret. And I hated that poster. I had to see it every day.
You know, that could have a big impact.
100%. Yep. And that's where you're right. It may not change their behavior in that second, but it makes them liable, and they'll know they're liable. And if they keep going, they're just going to walk off their own cliff because the system is changing and the mechanisms are going the right way. So,
Excuse me, Michael?
Absolutely.
yep.
Do you have a list of, or is there a way to find other people like in our areas to connect? Like who else might be near me that is doing their trust or working with you? And like, is there a way to find each other?
Yeah. So on privatelawtrust.org, we have our directory.
You know what made it even worse, Carb poster wasn't framed
on there. So the societies that are up and functioning that want to be on there, not everybody wants to be, but we have some on there.
Okay.
And then when we do meetings like this, if there's people that you want to interact with, you can always send them a private message.
I just got sent this from MH Dark Beast. This is Blue Bacon, apparently doing a sovereign citizen version of Modern Major General. To be clear, this person covers sovereign citizens on occasion. They are not a sovereign citizen. This is a parody.
I am the very model of a standard sovereign citizen. I've no idea how courts work, though often I find myself in them. I think the government stores cash using strawman identities, which aren't real, but we would not know. We never got our GEDs. To justify this thought, I claim the U.S. is now corporate, because Uncle Sam went bankrupt in the 30s. There's no proof of it. I think there's secret laws at the fringe on the fleck clearly denotes. And the courtroom is a ship and the ocean is where it now flows. And the courtroom is a ship and the ocean is where it now flows. And the courtroom is a ship and the ocean is where it now flows. And the courtroom is a ship and the ocean is where it now floats. Convert my IQ 2 inches and I would not be very tall. I don't read anything I cite. In fact, I hardly read at all. You'll see when I'm in court using defenses that will never win. I am the very model of a standard sovereign citizen. I started down this path because my driver's license was revoked, or maybe it was taxes that I wouldn't pay because I was broke. I trusted strangers telling me the Constitution bans this stuff, despite the fact the Supreme Court has regularly called this bluff. But when I'm proven wrong, yes, this is something well known to me. I cite the Christian God because that's the only authority over man. But then why opine law loopholes? That doesn't make sense. Did I forget Romans 13 says submit to the government? Did I forget Romans 13 says submit to the government? Did I forget Romans 13 says submit to the government? Did I forget Romans 13 says submit to the government? It doesn't matter, I'll just move on to the next thing on my list of stupid theories without addressing the logic that I've missed. You'll see when I'm in court using defenses that will never win. I am the very model of a standard sovereign citizen.
Cute. Wow, was that one from 2 years ago? Here's a link if you haven't seen Blue Bacon's channel, if you'd like. Check him out. I don't agree with everything he's ever said, but he has good content. I think he's a decent guy, so check him out. Let's move on from the Marcel thing for now. I think we had enough of his little MLM meeting. Let's do the traffic stuff. Let's check it out.
Today, Rodriguez, U.S. Customs Border Protection. How you doing, Rodriguez?
Oh, it's a Border Patrol one. Those ones are never great. Ugh.
Officer. Is there a reason why you're not wearing your seatbelt, sir?
Well, I'm not doing any comments. I'm traveling, sir.
I'm sorry?
I'm traveling, sir.
You're traveling?
Yes.
No, but why is your seatbelt not on, I said? Your seatbelt. Tu cinturón de seguridad, ¿por qué no lo traes puesto?
Because I'm traveling. I'm not driving.
Because you're traveling?
Yeah, I'm not driving.
You're not drive?
I'm not driving.
You're not driving. So what is this called? That's
It's
not
called traveling.
traveling, not driving.
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Are you the registered owner
Oh, good. They got it right out of the way in the first 30 seconds.
of the vehicle?
Sir, I don't answer any questions, sir.
I'm sorry?
I don't answer any questions.
You're
sir.
not going to answer any questions? All right. Well,
Sir,
you're
I'm on the private.
You're what?
I'm on the private, sir.
One more time. It's really hard to hear you out here.
I am on the private.
You're on the private?
Yeah, I'm not doing any comments. I'm traveling.
Okay, you're on the private what?
Yeah, I'm on the private.
Okay, so let me explain to you. You're on the 5 freeway, okay?
Yes, I know.
You know this is federal land? Did you know this
Sir,
is federal land or
I'm,
not?
I'm from United States of America Republic, sir.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I got my
Okay.
paperwork right over there.
No, that's fine.
They think saying I'm from the United States of America Republic is a distinct thing from saying I am from the United States or I'm from America. They think by saying Republic, specifically, it takes them outside of the jurisdiction of the given law enforcement agent. It does not, obviously.
But you know you still have to follow the rules, right? Or you don't?
Sir,
You know that you have to wear your seatbelt? Yes or no?
So that's for people that's driving. That's a privilege. I'm not
Okay,
driving.
well you are driving. Second of all, do you know that your vehicle's registration is suspended? Did you
Sir,
pay your your tags or no?
Sir,
Yeah.
I'm not driving.
You're not driving.
Yes.
Okay, so this is
He
not called
initially
driving.
stopped you for a seatbelt violation, which is so funny.
Called traveling.
Yes.
Perfect. Do you have a driver license?
I don't need a driver license.
You don't need a driver license? All right.
I'm on the private, sir.
All right. What's your name?
Joshua.
Joshua. How you doing,
Don't say
Joshua?
nothing. I
All
told
right.
you, don't say
Are you-
nothing.
Do you have an ID on you, Joshua? by
No,
chance?
you don't. Don't say nothing, yo.
Man,
What are you doing, bro?
It's always interesting when the driver's a sovereign citizen, but the passenger's like, what are you doing, you idiot? Always interesting.
Hey, what are you doing?
All right, thank you very much, Joshua. You guys been drinking today?
No, sir.
No? All right. Do you guys have any marijuana in the car? Because I can smell it.
No.
No? So what I'm smelling
Hey,
is not marijuana?
listen, we don't answer any questions.
All right, perfect.
Thank
So
you.
what I'm going to do, I'm going to have you turn off your vehicle for now. Hey, can you get the spike strip real quick? Can you get the spikes? I'm going to call a canine real quick. I'm going to have a canine come on here and do a sniff of your car. If the canine alerts, that's probable cause for
I
me to
don't
search the car.
authorize, please. Can you stay out of my property, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
So I'm going to call...
Okay, so
I feel like pulling the sovereign citizen stuff while you have weed in the car in a state where it's illegal. Honestly, it's federal land, so it doesn't even matter because this is a federal law enforcement person and it's still federally illegal. Not smart. Not smart. Do one illegal thing at a time. We've talked about this.
listen,
Ideally, do 0, but if you're gonna do any, do them one at a time.
listen. I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna let you know right now
Okay.
that you're violating my rights
Okay.
right now because you're impeding my traveling.
All right, that's
All right,
fine.
I'm trying to let you know. I'm trying to advise you
Okay.
that I'm not driving, which is a privilege.
Perfect.
I'm on the private.
You're on the private.
You understand?
Whatever.
I copyright my name. I'm in the trust.
Okay.
You understand
That's
that? So if you're trying to use my name, I don't want to contract with you,
Okay.
and you're forcing me to contract with you. You know, you impeding my driving, you violating my
All right,
rights
well,
right
you
now.
are being detained.
Yes,
so
yes,
That's fine.
you violating my right
Okay.
to travel, sir.
That's fine.
And I can do traveling in whatever I want because I'm a free man.
Perfect.
I live in the United States of America, of a republic.
Perfect. But when you're
you know, I'm a
driving-
national, sir.
Get it. But
I'm
when
a
you're
national.
driving, doing illegal
and then
stuff,
you
I'm
know
gonna pull
you're
you
doing
over.
things out of your power when you're like, I'm not under your jurisdiction at all.
not. You're under
no, you're
federal
not.
jurisdiction.
No,
Did
I'm
you
not.
pass through my
Listen,
checkpoint?
sir?
Look, I'm not gonna argue with
you.
you.
You don't
I
have a
already told you.
checkpoint.
Got it.
Like you're a public servant.
All right, listen.
What are you talking about?
All right.
I'm a national, sir.
Listen, okay, can you give me a second? So
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a couple of things. So I'm going to
Yeah.
call a K9.
I try to
You're
keep
gonna
it civil.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You're
But it
detained
don't
right
matter.
now.
This is a private automobile. You got
All
no
right.
jurisdiction
I
over
do.
here.
Well, we'll
You know,
deal
to
with that later.
detain me, like you even need a warrant to even
Listen,
detain me.
let me tell
like,
you
what is
what-
your suspicion? Why you detain
Let
me?
me tell you what's going to happen. So you have a spike strip
Okay, but
underneath.
sir, why did you
I
detain
already
me? What is
told
the
you.
emergency?
I already told
because
you.
my seatbelt.
1, your seatbelt. 2, your registration's expired.
Sir, this is a private automobile.
Okay. That's
This is
perfectly fine.
private.
You
This is
still
not
have to
doing
have all that
commerce.
stuff.
I don't have to do. This
All
is
right.
my right to travel,
All
sir.
right. Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do.
They think, of course, sorry, I forget that there aren't people who have been here the whole, like, and might not know the specifics of sovereign citizens. They think that by declaring that their automobile is in the private, they believe that it is no longer under the jurisdiction of the local governance, and therefore they don't need to have driver's licenses or registration. They think the fact that their automobile is their own personal property is enough that no regulations should apply to them. They are incorrect. You need a driver's license, you need registration, you need insurance. They believe they're in a special, like, situation where they don't need to, because they think they learned a special secret, a cheat code, basically. Certain words you need to say to not get arrested for not having these things. They're wrong.
Okay? You swear an oath to protect my constitutional rights.
Hey,
you violating my rights right now, sir.
Whenever you're done,
you violating my rights.
Whenever you're done, I'll let you know. But I'm telling you, there's spike strip. If you take off, you're gonna have a flat tire. Hang tight. I'm gonna call the K9.
Crazy.
We're gonna run your car. If you don't want to talk to me, then I'm not gonna talk to you. Just hang tight for the K9. Deal? Just when you guys are in here, keep your hands where I can see them.
What is your name and badge number?
Agent Rodriguez. I told you when I came in with the U.S. Border Patrol.
What is your badge number?
We don't have badge numbers here. You can see my badge. There's no numbers in there.
So what is the reason that you pulled me over again?
I already told you.
What
so
was
Sovereign citizens like to repeat themselves. It's because they have a script. They're just trying to repeat it, and I think they forget that they said something, or if they don't get the response they expect, they just think if they ask multiple times, they'll get the answer they want. Never works.
5 freeway is a well-known corridor for alien or narcotic smuggling, okay? The way you were driving, I gave you...
You think we are illegals?
Are you going to let me talk or not?
You think we are illegals?
I didn't say that.
Because the way we look?
I didn't say that. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I just hear you. That's what I'm asking.
Listen to me, please.
Yes.
Are you listening?
Yeah, you pull us over because?
No. The 5 freeway is a well-known corridor for alien smuggling, narcotic smuggling, weapon smuggling.
Okay, so we look like this type of people?
Okay. There is no look. What are you talking about? It's not about looks like. He's explaining why there's a checkpoint.
Hey, did you not hear what I said?
Yes, that's why I'm asking you. Out of all these people who is traveling in this road, why you pull me over?
Because you weren't wearing a seatbelt and your registration is out of date.
The way you're driving, you don't have your seatbelt on, and you don't have your registration. Okay, so when I run record checks on you, so when you guys pass us by the 5, you know where Las Pulgas is? Are you familiar with this area at all or no?
I just gonna know.
Okay, so let me tell you, when you pass Las Pulgas, we were on the side of the road. Did you see me on the side of the road or not?
Yes.
Okay, you slammed on your brakes when you passed me. Okay?
It's a free country. I can do whatever I want.
You're asking.
I can endanger other people on the road. It's a free country.
I'm answering your question. So are you going to let me answer your question or now we're done talking?
I don't understand. Okay.
Okay. You slam on your brakes. Both of your windows were down. I came up to you guys. Both of your windows were up. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but all this stuff that I'm seeing, it's weird to me, okay? Then I pull up next to you. You're not talking. You're not looking at me. I'm trying to tell you about your seatbelt. You're not looking to me. You went all the way down to 60 miles per hour.
I'm pressing attention on the road. I don't want to look.
I get it. You went all the way down.
I've been looking at you. I've been looking at you the whole time. Okay. That's why I'm telling my partner to record you because I watch you do all these different turns and things without even putting a signal.
Yeah.
I see you like changing lanes and everything, being careless and going past me. So I don't even want to I'm in fear right now.
You're in fear?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
yes, you reckless drive.
Galaxy of Miscellaneous Stuff says not wearing a seatbelt in California can net you a $250 fine, maybe more. Honestly, I think it should be more. I have no sympathy for people who are anti-seatbelt. None. Zero. I do not have it in me. It's like people who are mask or anti-vaccine. I just have zero sympathy.
We got it on recorded.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So the K9's gonna come here. You're gonna run through your car. As long as the K9 doesn't alert, you're free to go.
A seatbelt. I should explain also. A seatbelt has literally saved my life before in a car accident. So like I'm a little biased here, but like it always annoyed me when people have been anti-seatbelt. But especially after I got in a rollover accident, I was not driving. I was in the back seat. And the person who was driving was an idiot. But anyway, there wasn't actually a seatbelt in the seat I was sitting in until like a week before, because it was a used car that he had bought, and he had it taken in and had a seatbelt put in where I was sitting in the back. If it hadn't been for that seatbelt, I'd be fucking dead, because he rolled over on the highway 3 times and landed in the median upside down. Wear your seatbelt!
I'm not authorizing, I'm not consenting to no searches and nothing.
We're not searching, we're not seizing anything. We're going to do a free air sniff of your vehicle.
You don't got no work.
I still have a scar on the back of my head from that accident also. Had to get staples in my head.
To do this,
you know where it's not fun to have staples? Your head!
straight
We
out
don't
of
need a
pull.
warrant.
No, you pull me over. You violated my rights right now, and you swear
right,
that
let
oath
me ask you a
to
couple
protect.
more questions.
You swear that oath to protect the Constitution.
Yep.
Those are my rights.
Perfect.
It's my right to travel, and you impeding that for no reason.
All right, well, we
because
can
I'm
deal
not
with that later.
I don't have a contract with the DMV.
That's perfect.
I don't have a contract with the DMV, and you trying to contract with me right now.
Probably, but he's not going to answer, so we'll figure it out.
Okay, you're right. I have sympathy for them. I don't have sympathy for their dog shit opinion on seatbelts. So we put it that way. I don't have any sympathy for their so-called, like, right to not wear a seatbelt, which isn't a thing, but they might describe it that way.
All right, so we're going to call the K9. Like I said, I already advised you that you have a spike strip, so if you take off, you're going to have a flat tire. Okay, so I'm just telling you now.
Stay right here.
So you guys going to sit here while you're here. Please don't reach for anything or anything, because then we're going to think you're grabbing something weird, okay?
Okay.
So just hang tight. The K9 will be here. We'll run the car real quick, and we'll go from there, okay? Like I said, if the K9 does alert to your vehicle, we're going to have a probable cause to search your vehicle. You guys are coming out. We're going to search your vehicle.
As soon as I see a warrant, you can do whatever.
No warrants for K9. Ready? Hang tight for me for a sec.
You're a fucking dumbass motherfucker, yo. You dumb.
It's nice when there's a friend there to say what you want to say.
Once you say your name, you get in jurisdiction, bro.
Oh no, he's the one calling the friend an idiot. Oh no. Oh no, reverse.
I mean, you hired that fucking pipe, you fucking idiot. You didn't
I can't fucking hide the fucking pipe, pero.
Dude. Anyways, that's not illegal. That's totally illegal, you know what I mean? So.
Not federally.
You got fucking all kinds of fucking border protection fucking agents all over our ass. I can call the fucking lawyer, pero. But this is gonna be some fucking hard shit to get out of.
Keep recording.
Gamer G says if someone complains about having to wear a seatbelt, just tell them, okay, you're free to fly through the windshield and die upon any sort of impact, because that's exactly what happened to everyone before seatbelts in modern safety design. If someone wasn't going to wear a seatbelt, they just wouldn't ride my car. Like, straight up, not happening.
Just keep recording.
Oh god, I wonder what happened. I assume the car got searched, and they probably got arrested. Sucks for the passenger.
I did send all the documents that we've prepared, for certified delivery to both the judge and the district attorney. And I got a call from the court administrator.
Which case, sir? What are we talking about?
The assault case, where
okay,
and they
videos entitled "How to Handle Being Charged with No Victim."
I put it all as we put it all as demands, and they're saying, well, needs to be a motion, and you need to come to court in order for it to be dismissed.
You should be an expert in this by now. So what is your question?
Well, the question is, how do I come back to them and say, no, I'm not required to come to court. No, I submitted the order and everything.
Not a request, an order. You as the plaintiff, or you as the defendant, rather, are going to submit an order.
I'm just trying to get them to give me an order to dismiss with prejudice.
You're never going to get that appearing in their court. That's for sure.
That's right. So, but
I don't understand why you're still responding to them when they haven't responded to your affidavits.
Those are the things that they respond. They refiled. They actually finally filed the affidavits into the case. They were.
That's not responding.
Yeah, but they. So what is the response? Like the affidavit of distinguishment. What response are they required to do on that?
They're supposed to refute what you're saying.
Okay. So,
and to refute something, it's not just saying, "Oh, we deny." because if that were the case, then, you know, anyone who's charged with murder could just walk in the courtroom and go, I deny it, and walk out.
Okay.
Right. But, you know, these courts and these.
Do you think that there's a different burden of proof in different situations? What are you talking about?
Judges and these.
Even if you did that, you wouldn't be allowed to walk out. Like, you could do that as your defense. It wouldn't be a very good defense, but at the bare minimum, the onus, the burden of proof would still be on the state in order to prove that you had done it. In this particular case, you filing nonsense sovereign citizen paperwork doesn't mean that they have to respond to it.
Inept attorneys, they just believe they can deny something and make it go away. No, they have to refute it. It means they have to disprove. Like, they have to prove that you're not a living, breathing man, that you are one of their statutory entities. They gave you full disclosure and all that stuff.
And so, because even the administrator says, well, the only actions I didn't really understand completely. She says the only actions in this case are the actions that you're taking, because if you don't want to come, just drop your motions. Okay. I kept telling her they're demands, but I keep referring to them as motions.
They are motions. You are not in an authority to give like demands or orders within the court. That's not how this works.
So like right now,
you're not the judge. You're not making decisions.
You know, they scheduled this motion here.
You can ask things of the court. You can't demand things of it.
On November 7th, but it's kind of like I'm trying to clean up my record.
Well, what demand have you filed? I mean, other than your AOD and your objection saying you demand they dismiss it, period.
That's right. That's right. What you guys helped me with.
Right. So, I mean, that's it. There's nothing to be done. The actions now are on them. There's nothing else for you to do. They can either dismiss it or they can move forward. The judge can either dismiss it and honor what you're saying and honor the Bill of Rights, or he can commit treason and not.
Okay.
What an interesting situation. If someone doesn't agree with me, they're committing treason. It's a very adult way of handling your judicial court issues, isn't it? If you don't agree with my motion, you're committing treason.
They're trying to trick you always.
Yeah.
They lie.
I promise you they're not. I promise you they are not trying to trick you.
They lie, they lie, they lie. So you just do nothing.
There is no honor in these state courts at all. They will use propaganda, lies, fear-mongering, duress, gunpoint, whatever it takes to comply, to get you to comply. There's no honor with these people.
Okay. All right. You answered the question. Then I'll just we'll see if they come back with anything, or I guess it'll just be like a hanging chad as long as it needs to be, right?
Everything they say to you, send the same papers again.
Yeah.
Send your AOD and your demand for dismissal. Just rinse and repeat.
Okay, I will do that. Thank
and you don't even have to, it's all it's going to cost you is certified mail.
Sheesh. They give the worst advice. I swear, we only started watching them relatively recently, and they give the worst advice.
It's enumerated in our first document, the Declaration of Independence. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, liberty is defined as what? Freedom, right? The Supreme Court goes on and enumerates these things in multiple cases, People versus Battle, so many other cases where they say that you have the right to travel freely without police interference, unless you have been first convicted of a crime, right? And then you take the definition of a crime. There has to be corpus delicti, meaning there has to be a verifiable living man or woman who was injured as a result of my criminal activity.
It's not what corpus delicti is. Corpus delicti is the body of the evidence, literally. Corpus delicti basically means there needs to be evidence a crime occurred. An example of evidence a crime occurred could be someone who comes and says, hey, someone harmed me, someone committed a crime against me. That is a type of corpus delicti, but corpus delicti does not have to be that. Let's say that there was a crime and the crime was, I don't know, vandalizing a stop sign, and they find that the stop sign's been knocked over and there's evidence that it wasn't just an accident, someone did it. That can be corpus delicti because there's evidence a crime happened. A camera footage of a crime happening could be the corpus delicti because it's evidence a crime happened. It doesn't mean a literal person. It can be a literal person. It does not have to be a literal person.
Who then brings a claim against me. These police officers, and I don't say this disrespectfully, but they are just so ignorant to the real law in this country. They truly believe that the common law and constitution don't exist anymore. And they're right, because all of our states, all of our governments, even our federal district courts, they have overshadowed the Constitution with this statutory law nonsense. And we even got it in writing in a response from an attorney, right, for a bank. And he puts it in writing. He says, you know, the state of Louisiana does not subscribe to common law, but rather uses a code-based system because the Constitution doesn't exist in these courts.
The Constitution allows these courts. What are you talking about?
They have all become administrative, statutory courts that operate by virtue of contracts only, okay? So if they don't have a contract with you, they have no jurisdiction. But where it really gets twisted,
courts do not operate under contracts,
is that these courts in these states, they go, well, you got a driver's license, therefore we have a contract. Well, show me the full disclosure of the driver's license. Well, you got a marriage license or you got an LLC. Please show me where you gave us full disclosure, because these states, they create all these laws regarding the foundational elements of contracts, but then they turn right around and violate them, and we all just sit there and acquiesce into it. So that's why these police officers are being trained. We don't.
Why can they never mute their Discord notifications while they're streaming? I'll have you all know I do. And I get a lot of them when I'm not streaming. When I'm not streaming and I'm looking for videos or whatever, or just on the computer, it's just constant boop 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 boop
on this day. Well,
I really wish I could figure out how to turn it off.
So my question back to them is this: if you don't subscribe to common law and you use a code-based system that the Supreme Court has clearly said are not laws, right? Then in what venue is the Constitution present? And what venue are the Supreme Court rulings applicable? Because you walk in any state court and you start talking about the Constitution, or you try to use Supreme Court cases, they're not subject to those stare decisions because those courts don't have jurisdiction over these courts. Now, the Constitution says any law repugnant to it is void, right? However, the sovereign immunity of the states is only in the form of corporate protection, because the United States is a federal corporation. All the states are individual.
There might be a federal corporation called the United States, I'm not sure, but the United States government is not a federal corporation. Federal corporation is something like the FDIC.
They have sovereign immunity from one another, just like Coca-Cola can't go tell Pepsi how to run their business, right? But according to the Constitution, any law is repugnant, is void. So if you're standing in a state court, the way you box them into a corner is you say, Your Honor, is this statute that you're enforcing right now a law with regard to the repugnancy clause of the United States of America Constitution?
And they'll go, yeah, it's a law. Or, so, we did it. I hit the hammer. We did it.
And either way,
so funny when they say something as if it'll be like a boom, I did it moment, and the judge will just immediately tell you off.
He goes, he's done. If he says, yes, it is a law, well, then it's repugnant because you're applying it to a man and you're violating my rights. If he says no, then it's void because it's repugnant because it's not an actual law.
Well, isn't it convenient that no matter what, laws don't apply to you? That's crazy, isn't it? Isn't it crazy that hundreds and hundreds of years we've had a country here and no one figured out these secret cheat codes so the law doesn't apply to you? That's magical. That's incredible. You're such a special little boy.
Applicable to a man or woman. So these are the questions that if you do have the misfortune of standing in front of one of these, corrupt courts, the Constitution does not live there. And that's why you hear these politicians say all the time, the Constitution is dead. This is a democracy. None of those things are true. They're just assuming them to be true. So once you start to get to this point, you've got to bring your claim against not only the officer, but against the agency that is training these people, because they are spending millions and millions of dollars, and they're putting these officers through classes that teaches them If anyone mentions the word constitution or republic or rights, they're a sovereign citizen, and they're teaching these people that we're domestic terrorists.
I understand what you're saying, and that a lot of police training is incredibly confrontational as it pertains to relationships with the general public. The problem is, you actually are a sovereign citizen. I get it. I understand you might not want the label, and I think calling all sovereign citizens domestic terrorists is a weird holdover, frankly, of, like, weird post 9/11 stuff where, like, any group we don't like are terrorists. I don't think they're terrorists. I think they're conspiracy theorists. Certainly there have been sovereign citizens who have committed acts of terrorism. I can think of a few in Australia. I know there have been at least 1 or 2 shootings in the United States of police that were done by sovereign citizens. By and large, I don't think they're a terrorist group. I think they're just a bunch of very misled people.
However, the Supreme Court has said you can't convert a right into a privilege.
Where can you find a hat like mine? I got this on Etsy years ago. So if you type, like, Etsy witch hat, maybe you'll find it. They had different, like, interior patterns and stuff. This one has a wire in the brim, so you can kind of shape it and it'll stay the way you want it. Nice.
That if you exert your rights, that can never be converted into a crime. But they're bypassing the Supreme Court and the Constitution by incorporating themselves and bringing us all under statutes, codes, and ordinances.
It's wild that these people think that their particular interpretation of the Constitution is the singular interpretation. It's a very myopic worldview. Here's one titled, "Why do we call ourselves an alienable university?"
The word inalienable is the...
They always mispronounce it!
The word inalienable is the most overlooked word in our Constitution. And
it's inalienable! As in it cannot be alienated from you. It cannot be divorced from you. Inseparable. Inalienable. It is not inalienable.
Yet it's the most powerful word in our Constitution. The word inalienable is the sole word that if you stripped everything else out of the Constitution, that one word strips the government of all their power against we, the people. It's also the word that makes a direct connection between us and our Creator. We are all endowed with certain inalienable rights given to us by our Creator. But yet our government pushes aside that word inalienable. Starting with the 14th Amendment, they started declaring everyone to be persons. They found ways to circumvent those rights, making us all persons, which is a parallel word to God's words, by the way. The Bible uses words like men, women, man, woman, human, right? People. The government uses words like person, taxpayer, tenant, occupant. So they...
Okay. So, you are a person. What do you think the definition of a person is?
They started pushing aside our inalienable rights, and they are forever elevating...
That's rhetorical. I know what he thinks the definition of a person is. He thinks it means a corporate entity.
...themselves above the God of heaven, because the natural hierarchy in the Bible is God, man, government. So, through the creation of the person and this deceptive practice that all of our government agents, if you will, are engaged in, has now put the government above man through the creation of a person. So we really want to bring this word to the forefront, and I really want people to look at that word and really digest it, understand it, and realize what it means. Inalienable means your rights cannot be abridged, they cannot be circumvented, they cannot be taken from you, and in fact, you cannot even give them away.
Hummel Homestead says, usually when someone mispronounces something, I assume they learned to read it before they heard it, but I assume there's some false etymology with these folks. Could be. The etymology thing tends to come up a lot in conspiracy circles, so that was kind of my assumption, too. This one's titled, "If You're in Front of a Judge."
It's enumerated in our first document, the Declaration of Independence. You have the right to life, liberty.
Is he just repeating? Right. Let's see if there's anything.
Well, let's start off with prayer. Yeah, that would be great. We are officially live online. That's where welcome. It's just
Wow, that's terrible audio quality considering they're mic'd up.
And I want to tell you how, for those that think, especially if there's any law enforcement in the room, any FBI agents, any agents of government, God bless you that you're in the room, because you need to learn. You need to learn this stuff more than anybody. You are snowed. You're sold a bill of goods. You're operating under policy with no legal authority or lawful authority at all.
Well, and if they're in the room, they're probably already kind of cluing in on that, right?
So I just want them to know that, because I'm going to tell you a story right now, and it's a very short story.
Wait, is Tim Walls playing World of Warcraft? That's kind of funny.
Tell you about a little girl. She's in her late 20s, who I got the opportunity to talk to for just a few minutes. And the impression on me is absolutely dramatic. The police officer showed up at her house one day, early in the morning, knocked on the door, and arrested her for murder. Murder. She didn't murder anyone.
Do we know that? Just a question. I'm not saying she's guilty. I don't know, but I don't know the whole story here. More like Walls of Warcraft, am I right? Ba-dum-bum.
They arrested her for murder, and they hauled her down.
A little girl in her late 20s. I missed that. Who says that shit?
The county jail. And they put her in jail. And she sat there, begged to talk to somebody, begged to talk to an attorney, begged to talk to a DA, sat there for 5 years. 5 years. No arraignment, no trial, no conviction.
Is he talking about the United States? Because I don't think you can hold someone for 5 years without an arraignment.
No sentencing, no proper due process of law, no proper indictment, a sworn warrant by an affidavit of an investigator who got the wrong girl. And then one day an attorney walked into the prison, or the jail. She didn't go to prison, she was in the jail for 5 years. And
I don't even think you're allowed to be in jail generally longer than a year.
Attorney walked.
I guess if you're waiting for trial, but I've never heard of someone waiting for trial for 5 years without an arraignment.
Came one day and said, "We don't have the evidence to try you. I have your release order signed by the judge. You're going home today." And she hugged all the girls in the jail with her, all the ladies in the jail with her that she had made friends for 5 years. Gathered up what little she had, and she was escorted to the door and turned loose. No family to pick her up, nowhere to go, no job, no boyfriend, no husband. Had missed 5 years of her childbearing life.
Oh, gag. I'm not a fan of what he said there.
Thank you very much. You're free to go. Leaving that jail with no money, told where the nearest homeless shelter is, told to go there, gave it a couple of options, a church and a homeless shelter in that county that takes people in, like, get out of jail. Dressed in plain white clothes and plain white sneakers, and just absolutely pushed out into the wolves. She had lost her apartment, she lost her job, she lost every belonging she ever had, and she had nothing. Just a young, single, mid-20s girl out on the streets in plain white clothes.
Wait, if she was in her late 20s when she was arrested, how was she in her mid-20s after 5 years? Is she Benjamin Buttoning?
No money, no nothing to buy anything with. hoping she'll get donations from the churches or from the shelters and turn loose. 5 years of her life gone because some investigator swore out an affidavit to get a judge to sign a warrant to go have her arrested by police and slammed to the ground and put in handcuffs at 6 o'clock in the morning out of her own bed, out of her own apartment. What happened, do you think, when she didn't show up for work the next day, or the day after, or the day after that, and her job disappeared? Everything in her life vanished in one incredibly wrong moment. And then the DA's office could never in 5 years gather enough information to find her guilty. So she got sent out with time served. And she signed a document, time served.
I like that she doesn't even have a name.
She's guilty.
Just for this lady.
Now she's got
of indeterminate age.
A murder felony on her record in her 20s.
It'll haunt her the rest of her life.
Wait, you're saying they never arraigned her, but she signed a guilty plea? That doesn't even make goddamn sense. What are you talking about?
Haunt her because she would have signed anything to be.
You can't be let out on. Yeah, you literally can't have this. You can't not have an arraignment, not ever be charged, and then plead. What would you be pleading to? There's no charge.
Released. Right. Anything, and she didn't know any better. She doesn't know what we know. She doesn't know to reserve all your rights, to sign under duress without prejudice, UCC 1308 or anything like that. And that's her story. That's the story I'm going to tell you. She's not the first one I've ran into.
Yeah, where is she? What's her name? Literally anything that I could search to find this person.
In the last 18 months, I've talked to hundreds of especially women in prison, and I see injustice everywhere I turn, every phone call I get. Yesterday, I got 2 calls from jails. One.
Stone Corbell with 100 bits says, so like when this kind of stuff happens to people they know, they present it as this profound injustice, but what do you want to bet that when this kind of stuff happens to people of color and other minorities, they say stuff like, well, they should have followed the law or they should have done what the cops said? Stone Corbell, or Fenakagami says, hear my SovCit theory out. Human consciousness reached through time-space to create God so that he could create the universe, and humanity so that we could achieve our physical forms. And all religions are corporations that conspire to hide this fact from us so that we humans don't realize our true potential and subject ourselves to God's law. Wow, it's like super sovereign citizenry. Revolver Osathot, thanks for 29 months. Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for 100 bits. Says the real 29 to 25-year-old little girl who was arrested and held in a cell for 5 years without being arraigned and signed a guilty plea, despite there being no charges, was the friends we made along the way. Beautiful. And we're on a hype train, 46% to level 1.
One out of Montana, one out of Florida, Clearwater, Florida. People in jail. These people did nothing wrong. There's no victim, yet they're in jail and they want help. And there's
I mean, in the case of that lady, allegedly there was a murder. So I do want to bring that up. That would be the victim, would be the murdered person.
Hundreds of those people to help. So for those that are intelligent enough and can study
T-Time T, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs.
The law enough and are willing enough to help others, please do. There are just hundreds of thousands of people who need your help.
Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs, 14% to level 5 on the hype train. Thank you.
Scripture talks about what separates the sheep from the
my
goats.
My little
Jesus describes
gift
in
sub
his
dance.
own words, how is it? I wish I could quote it word for word, but he says, when I was in prison, you didn't visit me. And when I was hungry, you didn't feed me, and thirsty, you didn't give me drink, and naked, you didn't clothe me. And they said, Lord, Lord, when do we see you naked, hungry, thirsty, and in prison? And Jesus said in his own words, well, when you do it to the least of these, my brothers.
That's awful. Hey, I never said I was a good dancer.
because he was also telling people that they are not his followers, right? That when he was in these kind of conditions, and they said, Lord, have we not cast out demons in your name? Have we not worked miracles in your name? And Jesus said, well, depart from me, I never knew you. So really, it is so important that we reach out and that we help the prisoners that are.
Yeah, I noticed they have multiple fireplaces next to each other, it looks like. Although I guess this little alcove behind them could just be where the wood is stored. Makes it look like there's two fireplaces, though.
In confinement, because in reality, it could be any of us tomorrow. That's how our system works.
Oh, boy. This is interesting. I showed a little of this guy before. This is the guy who got arrested for trying to sell magic mushrooms at the farmer's market. I think I've shown a little of this before, but I wanted to show him more. This is how he drafts his legal documents. He uses ChatGPT.
Okay. I want you to use this State of Oregon criminal complaint that I'm going to paste in to write a federal criminal complaint. And that means I want the state laws to be replaced with federal laws that apply to these circumstances. Okay. So, let's make that. Federal criminal complaint in the United States District Court. Complainant, me, defendants, them. Notice how it says complainant. They're using this word plaintiff all the time. And I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to say with, with that.
Plaintiff is in civil. You're a plaintiff if it's civil. You're a complainant if it's criminal.
Plaintiff is a subservient position to come from, okay?
He's incorrect. This is a video that I wanted to address because I've never seen two people bullshit back and forth to each other with this much confidence. They just make shit up. They just make shit up to each other and jerk each other off verbally. It's kind of incredible.
Complainant means you're in
Minute left on the hype train.
charge. Complainant is an aggressive word. Plaintiff is a submissive word. You see where I'm coming from? Like they're making it that you're like on your knees begging. That's being plaintiff. Being plaintiff is appealing to somebody.
I wish I was a plaintiff.
Please, please. No. We're demanding.
Hannah regrets what she just said on the bingo.
So we're a complainant.
So the state is claiming to be a plaintiff in all this stuff. And I'm not sure. It requires further. I've tried getting some information out of ChatGPT on that, and it doesn't really understand it, or it's not going to tell me or something.
Yeah, it's semantics. It's a semantics game that they play. You know,
they mean different things. Again, a plaintiff is civil. Complainant is criminal.
Plaintiff, it's complainant and defendant. That's all. Or accused, whatever you want to call it.
It is in a criminal, but then in a civil, there's a plaintiff and a defendant.
Do they not like homophones? They only love heterophones like real men. Tea with Goblins, thanks for gifting a sub. Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
I'm not sure. We'll need to look into it further.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's semantics. They're not legal terms. They're just semantics to make us and them feel a certain way. It makes them feel like they're above us. Everything they do makes them feel better about themselves. You know, everything
they're
they do and say.
pretending to be involved in some way when they're They're supposed to be.
I find that interesting, and it feels like projection in that for whatever reason, the state governance makes this guy feel small and unimportant. Therefore, it feels like he thinks that must mean that people who write the law are doing so to make themselves feel important. Not how this works.
Not really. You know, because think about, it's a conflict of interest for the same people charging you to be judging you, and
the same people charging you aren't the ones that are judging you. The judge isn't the people charging you. What are you talking about?
You know, setting up your jury and stuff like that. Like, think about that. Nonsense. Okay, so this federal criminal complaint is filed against Judge HUD and Judge Landis for actions amounting to contempt of court under 18 U.S.C. 401, official misconduct under 18 U.S.C. 242, and disorderly conduct that disrupted judicial proceedings and violated my constitutional rights.
Oh, wow. So ChatGPT and went ahead and went straight to 18242.
Yep.
Went straight to that. Without you even prompting it, it went there.
Right.
He did prompt it. He prompted it to replace the complaint he had already made and replace the laws in that with federal laws, so he literally did prompt it.
Yeah, it was not
Oh, stay safe, Dijon.
listed anywhere in that complaint that I pasted in, and it was...
Yeah,
it's just basic. This is all basic law. So when Judge Hung pretends, or Judge Landis pretends like, oh gosh, you're just not quite making a point. It's like, no, bud, I tell ChatGPT to make me a point. It does it.
Again, conspiratorial people believe that ChatGPT thinks and that it is a genius and that everything it says is true. It does not. It's a word calculator. So when this inevitably gets thrown out of court, he's going to go, the judge is just just is a liar because ChatGPT wrote this and ChatGPT is infallible. Untrue.
And it's the same point that I know, and ChatGPT knows it too. So how is it possible?
ChatGPT doesn't know anything. It doesn't think. It doesn't have a concept of things. It's a word calculator.
For it to be, that just doesn't apply. Oh, treason? Oh, that just doesn't apply. Yeah, it does. If you're taking part in a war against me, then are you a judge? No.
You being prosecuted isn't a war against you. It's legal prosecution.
You're an enemy combatant and a traitor. You're instantly not in any kind of public office. And because we are at a state of war, your continued ambulation is at risk with no warning and no warrant and no arrest.
That's a threat. That's just a literal threat to murder a judge. Putting that out there. Just a threat towards a judge.
So let me just hit kind of the highlights, and if you want to, you can pause this and read through this. But, you know, we need to get stuff like this filed just constantly. Bro, like every time you deal with these people, you just, do voice to text.
Stop for a second. What's USC 1507? What's that one? I'm not familiar with that one. That's a new one. And 401,
Why are you asking him? He didn't write it.
Official misconduct, right? No, that's contempt of court.
Yeah, it's listed up here. You're looking for not 401, but this one. Disorderly conduct. 18 USC 1507, as it involved creating a public disturbance in a court proceeding.
Okay. Wow, ChatGPT just throws the book at him, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Wow, I told them to convert this complaint into federal. They sure did do that.
Yeah, you just tell it to cite your laws, and you really need to be checking these laws and at least reading them and making sure that they apply. I have had at least one law that just didn't seem to apply.
He still thinks it's infallible, though. That's interesting. I did find some absolute bullshit in there, but, this is probably fine. It's fine.
Man, as we've been doing.
Fun fact, if you only found one, it wasn't enough. You didn't find all the bad ones. all of the ones that you cited are probably bad ones because you're wrong.
In this over the last several shows, and you interacting with ChatGPT and showing us the result, I believe that,
18 USC 1507 prohibits picketing judges' residences. Does it really?
a direct line, a ChatGPT should be the judge.
Should be the judge.
Yep. ChatGPT, it should just be a microphone, and it should be a screen there that says what your charges are and what the state's evidence is and blah, 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 blah. And then the prosecutor gets to have his say, and then the defendant, the complainant, whoever, gets to have their say, and then ChatGPT decides. I guarantee you that if ChatGPT was in charge as it stands right now, all of these people would be up on charges and thrown in jail.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get the sense that they don't know how anything works? Because that's the vibe I'm getting, is that neither of them knows how anything works, but they're very confident that they know how everything works.
Yeah. ChatGPT as a judge would issue warrants right then and there and call the clerk in and have you swear and issue a warrant. Have the clerk sign it, because a human being has to sign it. But, man, this is the problem. And these people, they just want to do whatever they want to do, and they're not observing the law. Even ChatGPT doesn't try to, wheedle its way out of this stuff and say, well, there's this judicial policy and that judicial policy. It understands that we're not beholden to any of that shit. And these judges don't. When these people finally realize that ChatGPT isn't on their side, they're going to cause an uproar. I guarantee it.
Bro, your point is amazing, and you're totally right about
Bro, your point is amazing, bro.
everything
I love you, bro.
that you're saying, except for ChatGPT doesn't know that you are not beholden to case precedent unless you tell it, and I've already told it. It's learned a memory about me or something.
Fun fact, courts are beholden to precedent. That's kind of what precedent is.
Where it talks to me like a human being.
At least they're supposed to be.
Instead of like a fucking moron. Jeff, your comment is amazing too, though. LOL, the cop report is a confession of their crimes. Yeah, it's a confession.
Absolutely.
I just take and copy their text, and I put it into ChatGPT with my motion for, to dismiss or whatever, and it fills in things like their names and dates and stuff like that, details that I'm not allowed to even get them. You ask them for their name.
How do you know that they're right? It's probably just giving you fake addresses or random addresses. He thinks he's getting the addresses of judges from ChatGPT?
And they just reviews and stuff. They're just nutcases, right?
Yeah, when
These nutcases won't give me the personal addresses of the judges on my cases. I can't imagine why.
State law and their policy says that they have to identify. They don't have a choice not to. When you're
identifying doesn't mean giving you their personal address. Screaming at the Radio says, yeah, it tells you what you told it to tell you.
In an official capacity, you cannot say, I'm not going to identify. You cannot do that. It's illegal. It's a crime. Yeah. It's a crime.
And when you start pretending to give lawful orders, you need to identify yourself as what your authority is. Sorry.
He with Goblin says, I teach undergrad sociology, and we're really struggling with students using ChatGPT to write or brainstorm or paraphrase for them. I hate it because it's lazy scholarship, but it's also dangerous because a robot cannot do critical thinking or comparative analysis or argumentative synthesis for you. It can only vomit out amalgams of what already exists across the internet. Not all of that will be correct. These guys have lazy solipsistic reasoning. Oh yeah, it's maddening.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're fine. I was at the end anyway. In their reports, the pigs, admit to their crimes. Well,
sure.
They recognize that you invoked your Fifth Amendment and you cite the Sixth Amendment, yet they keep on pushing you to answer questions, which is,
I can link it here. Hold on. Here you go, Run Trip Fall. Actually, I don't know if this will show up. Do they let you use BitChute links? Can you see that?
That's a 240 violation,
on YouTube chat.
Man,
241
if they can.
Is deprivation.
241. That's right. Yeah, it's 241
or
because
2
they're
is deprivation. I think it might be conspiracy.
Well, 242 is conspiracy.
Are you sure that's what it is?
Yeah, 242 is conspiracy against rights, which means two or more people collaborating against you. Which right now, what it looks like to me is you got this whole fucking police department and this whole fucking court.
The entire
conspiring against you.
Executive branch and the entire judiciary. Yep.
The city pigs, yeah, for sure.
And
sure.
I filed charges on all of them. And see, I need to get more federal complaints written from these state in the same way that I just did that. It took me literally like 25 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the answer came back in less than 5.
Yeah.
And it's a bad answer. The document it gave you isn't worth anything. It's not going to help you.
All it was is some word input, and then I did paste in the text that I already spent a little bit of time on.
Yeah, but still, man, and it filled in all these different state statutes that applied to what you were explaining before, and then replaced them with fucking federal laws. With federal law. I mean, how? Yeah, what's the matter? You makes a good point here. Yeah. It's totally nutty. They act like they not only can get away with breaking the law, but that doing so is also the moral thing.
And people believe that.
Well, people believe that it's the moral thing they're doing. I don't believe that they think in any kind of way they're moral people. There's no way they can. And if they can see themselves as being moral, then they're psychopaths.
They are
psychopaths.
At least. Bro, why do you think it's so hard to deal with them?
Right, because they're always right. You're the one who's everything they do is projection. They're like mirrors. They think that whatever you say they did, you did. So they're going to drag you into court. They disrupted your business at your house when they pulled over your next door neighbor. They disrupted your peace. That's disorderly conduct.
Oh, it tones over things.
And
right now, Kennedy's filling out, this is from, I don't know, what was this, a month ago? This is when he was filling out Chat GPT stuff to try and send complaints to judges.
And they're going to say that you
they misused emergency
were
lights. They started threatening me. They also seized another man without a warrant, so that's a crime against somebody else.
Yeah.
I arrested.
He doesn't understand probable cause, I guess.
And they deprived me of my right to citizen's arrest.
He just tells cops and judges they're under arrest a lot, and he thinks that's what a citizen's arrest is. So he'll claim, I've arrested all sorts of police officers and judges, and then in reality, it's just him going, I declare you arrested. So not really as impressive as he makes it sound.
Oh, state law didn't seem to matter too much then.
Yeah, but it matters now on... Yeah, but now it matters on something that you people fabricated.
Guys, you know what's so funny about that is that who does the most citizens arrests? It's cops.
Yeah.
Every time they don't have a warrant, what they're actually doing is the citizen's arrest.
It's not. You can arrest based on probable cause, right? Like if a cop sees you committing a crime, they're allowed to arrest you. That's not a citizen's arrest.
Which they can't do when they're in their official capacity.
Well, they don't have qualified immunity immediately the way that the cops do. They're acting in an individual capacity, but none of the prosecutors are going to understand that, and none of the judges are going to understand it. And when you tell them it, they're not even going to fucking read it, just like my judge didn't even read my motions.
You're literally sending in Chat GPT garbage. Of course he's not spending the time to read it. As soon as he realizes what he's looking at, I would expect you to get sanctions, frankly, for trying to send Chat GPT garbage to waste the court's time.
It's like,
do you know how much time? The courts are already so backed up. Do you have any idea how much extra time is being wasted by people being able to file frivolous motions spit out by a text generator in 5 seconds that takes like an hour to read? Oh, God.
Bro, he literally didn't understand anything. Am I gone?
person lurking. Who's lurking? Whoever's lurking, speak up. I want to see who that is. Who's lurking?
What is it?
I'm actually not familiar with the Wild Robot, Christopher B. So I don't know. Probably not in theaters. Maybe when it comes to streaming or something.
No, there's somebody lurking in the chat. Anyway, you're back, so go ahead, man. You were lagged out for a minute there.
Well, essentially what it is that if we're not going to just take the minute to put some information down, just grab their own text from their police reports or their emotions, Do
you know what the thing that what he was originally in front of the judge for in the first place was? I know recently he had the issue where he got arrested for trying to sell magic mushrooms at the farmer's market, but I do think he had an issue before that, because he also had that video where he tried to arrest the judge in court, and I don't remember what that initial charge was for.
They sent me a motion addressing mine, and all I did is put it into ChatGPT, and basically it just spit out the answer.
He's so, happy about this, too. He's like, it's like he thinks he's come up with a cheat code. Like, I just put it into ChatGPT. Yeah, that's bad. That's a bad thing to do when your freedom is on the line. Don't do that. Get a lawyer.
Their rebuttals were so stupid. Citing.
How would you know? You can't even put together one yourself. You use ChatGPT. Why do you think you're qualified to determine the veracity of claims or motions made in any sort of court document? You're not even trying to do it yourself.
Anyways, I already mentioned.
Tones says, Walker is one of those people that frustrated me at first, but after seeing just how spectacularly he's failed to make good on anything he does, now I just laugh at him. I get that. Ugh, I get that.
Mentioned that, but
well, yeah, they were citing policies, not law.
Yeah, case precedent, state law, anything subservient to what I cite, and they're just like, oh, well, let's see, you're the state, that means I'm going to go with you.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Such a fucking scam, bro. I don't know how stupid a person would have to be to go for it, but they're everywhere, man. They're at my channel commenting right now.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. So we got 4 in now. Somebody else just popped in. I'm betting that's Diesel.
Well, do you got to go, or should we open it up to somebody? Or
no, I'm good for a little. I'm good for a little bit longer, man. Yeah, if anybody wants to come in, I'll put the link up. Anybody wants to come in and yak for a minute?
Yeah, it's terrible. What we're scum in their minds. If in conflict with them. Yeah, that's right. It's not that they violate their oath every situation about everything. It's that if it ever conflicts with them, then fuck you. Too bad for you.
Unstable Deadbeat says, it's kind of sweet that these two found each other. It's important to meet people who have similar interests to you. On some level, I don't want anyone to be lonely, but I think this is also emblematic of a problem of the internet. And it's that allows people with very specifically compatible delusions to find each other and hype each other up. Normally, historically, there'd be sort of a, how do I put this? There'd be a wall of some sort to keep people from really delving into their delusions to this extent, because the people around them would kind of insulate them from that and kind of cool them down and be like, hey, the things you're saying aren't really true, But with the internet, you can just find every person who believes the same specific weird thing you believe, whether it's flat earth or this or any of the other things we cover on this show. And it becomes a problem because they all sit around and hype each other up and kind of do circle jerk each other about the things they believe. And they instill a level of confidence in each other that wouldn't exist otherwise. I'm not saying they wouldn't have these delusions. I'm saying without the social structure there to affirm those false beliefs, I don't think they would believe them as strongly, or at least they would feel less comfortable expressing them in as public a manner as they do.
And that's not how it's supposed to work. Yeah, they're absolutely.
We have a law against fascism, 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law.
We have a law against fascism is my new favorite quote from him. We have a law against fascism. We did it. We defeated fascism, everyone.
Yeah, they're absolutely psychos. They're absolutely psychos. This is, look, here's what I think the problem is. These fucking socialist criminals have gotten into the system, and they made it so these judges and prosecutors and pigs and everybody else can...
When I think of cops, I usually think about socialism. Cops tend to be very left-wing individuals, as we all know.
Profit tremendously from doing their job. They've made it a reward, okay? It used to be like a punishment to be in those kind of positions because you're subservient. And they used to know that. They used to understand that, at least at some point in history. I can't, like I said, I can't put my finger on a timeline and tell you where, because...
If you think that there was a secret golden age in the past where everything worked the way you want it to, but you can't quite put a finger on when it was, probably not a real time or place. Probably a utopia you've constructed in your head.
This is... there, at some point in the history, there was some incremental creepage that was going on, like soil creep. Like the topsoil will move downhill with gravity and hydrostatics and all that. It's that creep that we're seeing in our society, and now we're at the end game of it, where there's 3 or 4 possible outcomes, and we have talked about the 2 outcomes that socialism is guaranteed. That there's only...
Again, I'm sorry, it just cracks me up every time they try and talk about the modern judicial system and call it socialist, because everything they don't like is socialism.
2 possible outcomes.
Socialism is when I get arrested for trying to sell mushrooms at the farmer's market.
Comes communism or societal.
These communists won't let me... It won't let me engage in commerce with my fellow psychonauts.
Collapse. Those are the only 2 things that can result from a socialist system, and that's period. Look at Canada. Canada's been, taken over by these socialists,
as we all know,
for years and years, and now they're
all hail Comrade Trudeau,
moving into a full communism stage where the state can seize your assets just because you disagree with them. It's no different than what we got going down here. It's just a lot more blatant, and it's out in the open. Okay, Diesel wants to come on and talk. What's up, Diesel?
How y'all doing?
Good. Just bashing on socialists.
Someone come pick up your drunk uncle.
It's a battle.
Just bashing on socialists. Deal with it meme from 2011 slides in.
Isn't it?
Well, these people, they think they're something that they're not. You want to talk about delusions of grandeur. Not only are these people psychopaths, but they're also suffering from Munchausen, the worst parts of Munchausen syndrome and delusions of grandeur, which are almost the same thing, but Munchausen is a little bit different. Go ahead, man.
Those are very different things. What are you talking about?
Well, I was kind of thinking, and I don't like...
You can tell they've just heard certain words, and they want to, sound smart by saying them, but they don't really know how to utilize them correctly.
Like using case law.
For those that don't know, Munchausen's is basically you pretend to be sick or to have bad things happen to you to get attention. Like you're constantly pretending to be ill or something. Munchausen's by proxy is like when you have a kid or something that you're saying is ill all the time and then you use them to get attention.
But
Stone Corbell says the level of projection in this video is astounding. Like every sentence is a new level of accusing their enemies of exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. Oh yeah, that's why I wanted to play this. I've listened to this video while I've been playing video games or whatever, 3 times. Just because I'm kind of flabbergasted by the psychology behind this. It's like they're all pretending to have an adult conversation, but none of them really knows what they're talking about. So it almost sounds like a bunch of, elementary school kids playing a game where they're pretending to be an adult. So they use words that they think they know the meaning of, but not quite. So it has like the rhythm of a conversation, but everything's wrong. Incredible.
There is certain things that can actually protect you, and that we don't use very often. Is one of the main ones is Miranda, and it says it cannot compel you to give evidence. Well, this argument's sake, you get pulled over by the car, and they say, "I want to see your driver's license, insurance, registration." That's evidence. That's compelling you
Listen,
by the
Miranda
threat.
is explaining the Fourth and the Fifth Amendment, so that's why you don't mess with that lower crap, because you need to be talking about the Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person and your papers and your effects, maybe your identity or, you know.
Yeah, Miranda is basically, it's a net to catch the people that are ignorant of their rights. It's a last chance for you to shut your mouth and not comply. That's what Miranda is. You know,
But also you just hold them accountable. Miranda, are you going to use this against me in a court of law? Yes or no, officer?
Yeah, that's the Fifth Amendment, though. That's why you're not citing Miranda. You're going to cite a law.
Right. Go straight to the Fourth and then the Fifth in that particular case. Yeah, exactly. We're not compelled to witness against ourselves in any way, verbally, materially, or through action. Are we compelled in any kind of way? And this also points back at the pig's statement in his report. He's admitting that he was trying to compel you. He's admitting that.
Oh, they admitted a bunch more too. Yeah, for sure.
It's unbelievable. You got to make sure that when you send in your complaint to the feds, that you send along copies of those reports. You know, copy those and send them too, because that's evidence, man. That's evidence against them.
You know what it is, though?
It's a confession.
These reports just say they talk about that it's in these police reports, and so that's why providing the document, because it's not evidence, because they don't have like a chain of custody and stuff like that, so you just mention it, and if they need it in a prosecution, then it can be found, because you're essentially citing a document.
Right. Yeah, Diesel, Miranda is it's a catchment for people that don't understand their rights. That's what it is. Or somebody who's not conversant in our language. It's based on Miranda didn't speak English, I believe, is how this.
Penikagami says Munchausen is an addiction to care, attention, and esteem that can come from being sick and vulnerable. The by proxy version is the addiction to those things that come from taking care of a vulnerable person. A comparable thing would be a toxic person who abuses you using your pity and empathy for them.
This went, right? So he didn't understand, and obviously he might not have been ignorant completely to the civics 101, but Miranda was created as a catchment.
Okay, I think that's about all of Kennedy Walker and crew that I can handle today, because holy crap, they are a lot. They're a lot. It's interesting watching them exist in their own little world, isn't it? Huh. Let's do this one, and then we'll probably call it a night.
Vista, 8 George Charles Henry 136.
One's relatively quick, I think.
Hi, I'm Brian Cowan, Reading Police Department. The reason I stopped you is you're going about 60 miles an hour on Pacelli as you passed me. Can I see your license, registration, and insurance, please?
I'm not in the process of conducting business.
Okay, we're not going to play that game, sir. So if you don't want to identify yourself, I'm just going to place you under arrest and tow your vehicle. Okay?
I've noticed that the stops have gotten a lot quicker. I think the education about sovereign citizen stuff has gotten widespread amongst police departments, that they're just like not dealing with it anymore. the minute this happens. I've seen this way more often in the last month even. Just like so many getting taken and out of the car immediately.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Okay? So I need to see your ID. And I need to see the registration and insurance on your vehicle, okay? And
See
you're
you,
a grown adult,
Tones.
so
Thanks
you're
for
gonna
stopping
make
by.
an adult decision right now. Okay? So that's up to you. What do you want to do? Okay, you're going to be placed under arrest. Step out of the vehicle. Out of the vehicle.
Hey, bro.
Edward 47. I'll take a 1025. Don't.
Trying. Hemophilia, bro. Ow, that hurts.
Don't.
Let me get out.
Don't. Get out right now.
Oh, that guy's got like a 90s phone headset.
Seatbelt. Undo your seatbelt and get out.
I'm traveling, sir.
Undo your
He's literally getting arm barred and he's still doing the traveling thing.
seatbelt.
I'm
And
not
get
conducting
out of
business
the
right
vehicle. You are under arrest.
now. I'm not conducting
Get
business.
out of your vehicle. Out of your vehicle. Undo your seatbelt. Do you understand me? Do you understand me?
Officer, this Toyota is my private property. I will not be harassed.
Undo your seatbelt and step out of the vehicle.
Brian, dude.
Okay?
10-8, call me 85 Edward 47. I think I'm closer.
Undo your seatbelt and get out of
Man.
Undo your seatbelt and get out of the vehicle.
Break my arm.
I'm not going to break your arm. I don't want to. I want you to get out of the vehicle. Do you not want to get your seatbelt off first? Why don't you just get your seatbelt off and we'll do this?
Breaking my arm, bro.
Oh, he's gonna
No.
try to run.
Damn it,
Don't
dude,
do that.
I'm not
You're under
conducting
arrest.
business.
You're under arrest.
I'm not conducting business.
You're under arrest. Okay?
For what? Show me the magistrate.
Yeah, that's where we're going to go.
That's what the arrest is, yeah.
Want to identify yourself, so we're going to do that. Okay? You don't get to do this, sir.
You don't either, bro. You don't
Yeah.
get to go in my car and me out and break my arm.
I'm asking you to step out.
I'm asking you to let go of my arm.
I'm not going to do that.
I can't reach my seatbelt.
You can do it with your right arm.
No, I can't.
You can do it with your right arm. So as soon as the other officer gets here, we're going to pull you out and put you in handcuffs, okay?
Right. For traveling, yeah.
Yep.
I'm not in the process of conducting business.
47. I'll take another unit.
Get off me, dude! What the is your problem?
Don't.
Get the off me!
Stop.
Get off me, dude!
Stop.
Stop! No! God
Stop.
damn it, dude! What the
Resisting
What
me.
the
Stop
not do
You're
this
under-
shit. Over that, dude!
Stop.
What the No, dude! You're attacking me, dude!
Stop.
No! Dude! You stop!
Trying to drive away?
God damn it, dude!
Stop.
No!
Jesus. Don't get in a fight with the cop.
Stop.
You stop!
You're not going anywhere.
I'm not
He's
arrested.
definitely getting extra charges.
You're under arrest.
For what?
You're under
You
arrest.
caught me speeding. Give me a ticket so I'll be on my way.
The thing is, he might have if you just, although I guess if you don't have a license, that would have been an issue, but like, I don't know, man.
Stop.
What are you guys doing, dude?
You're under arrest.
What does he mean by show me the magistrate? He is trying to say there are sovereign citizens that believe the only way you can get detained is with a warrant signed by a magistrate. They don't think that probable cause is a thing. They don't understand, or that like reasonable articulable suspicion is a standard for certain things, and that probable cause is a thing for certain things. They think everything needs a warrant. If the cop is stopping and making you talk to him, they think you need a warrant. They're incorrect.
Smash my head. Stop resisting. And put me under arrest. Magistrate.
You are under arrest.
Got it.
Yeah. Here, let's get this arm. Okay.
Oh, that's rough. Rough watching people ruin their lives over the dumbest thing, isn't it? All right. I think that's it for today. So thanks everyone for hanging out. It's been fun. We should... What are we gonna do tomorrow? Maybe Chud Watch tomorrow? I'm not sure. It'll be a little later, probably. But we will be doing a stream tomorrow. Love you too, Mr. Blast. Let's see who we're gonna raid on Twitch. We'll raid VC Archives. Everyone, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I'll see you very soon. If I don't... There is no I won't. You will. You will come back soon. I demand it. There's no option. I'm not giving you an option to do other things. You will come back. If not tomorrow, soon. Alright, have a good night, everyone. Bye.